in a moment, or at least those of you watching on Warchant TV will be able to see those. I don't know. It takes a minute for Tom to get those up there, especially when I give them to him 30 seconds after the top of the hour. But I will get after those. It's a weird week. I as good as and as much fun as we had the last couple of weeks with the surplus of bets, we don't have a surplus of wagering going on here today. We have like minimal. I'm picking up some along the way, delving in, doing a little exercise in some other areas as well. But just a basic group. The news of the day was that Tremel Jones decommitted from Florida State, and I don't care. I really didn't ever think Tremel Jones was going to be a great player for us, so be it. But it's also not shocking. It's just one of those things where if you're reading a headline about Florida State football, it's not going to be a good headline. That's where we're at. If you're every day you wake up, if you're reading a headline involving Florida State, although I will say this, 4 days ago, if you read the headline, FSU's Mike Norvell fires both coordinators, wide receiver coach, you could have said, well, that's a good headline. I like that headline. So maybe not every one of those falls under that category. But when it pertains to recruiting, you look, it's you had a linchpin of the program leave. You had Myron Charles and Javion Hilson and McCutcheon, Clark, Wiley, all those kids. They've all. I'm trying to remember everybody that's left this class. Everybody that said, "Yeah, we're good." We're good. But we kind of anticipated this. Again, time and again, look for are the names when it becomes a little bit more crystallized as to who we're going to hire. Because then I think that begins to shape the roster and the class and what's possible to salvage, and more than what a recruiting class ranking looks like, because it's not going to be good. But more than what a recruiting class ranking looks like, I want to look at what the roster is going to look like based on the hires that are coming in. And that, to me, is probably what you're going to want to see more than anything else. Listen, at the start here of the show, before we get to these picks, I want to send my heartfelt condolences and thoughts and all the love in the universe to the Lynch family. Kevin Lynch, a former pitcher at Florida State, passed away unbeknownst to me over the weekend. He was just 41 years old. You guys may remember the Lynches, as I should say, because Matt, his brother, pitched, and Kevin did, and both were really talented and really good players for Florida State in the early 2000s. And Pat Lynch is a friend of mine. I've known for a long time. And in fact, Pat and I used to go sit in the stands and cheer on his brothers, one of whom sadly, again, passed away at the age of 41 over the weekend. And I was out of town, did not get word of that. I don't know that the public generally knew that until just maybe yesterday when there was an article written about it. But I am thinking of the Lynch family and thinking of all of those that are affected by his loss, or his passing, I should say, and their loss. That's very sad news. Very sad news indeed. So I did want to begin the show by acknowledging that and sending my love to that family who no doubt are going through unimaginable grief right now. Now, it's not easy to transition, but there is a point of positivity that I wanted to get to as well. And it's interesting. I'm not going to word it the right way. I don't trust myself, I don't suppose, but I'll get to one of the other positives. I guess I'll do it in the second segment because I want to think about how I want to say it, where we have the loss that I just referenced, but also a celebration of sorts that I'll mention here in a moment. In the interim, let's go ahead and get to these wagers and hope like hell we can get some damn wins, baby. Get some wins. Not much in the way of college that I'm feeling just yet. May change over the course of the show, and as we go through breaks, I'll hand them over to Tommy, and we'll go from there. But for now, give me Texas on the road against Arkansas, laying less than 2 touchdowns, and give me Georgia, I think, an angry Georgia bunch against what Tom thinks is the most overrated team in America, and that's Tennessee. So I will take Georgia, and I will lay the 9.5 right there. There you go. You probably agree with that.
I like the spot. I like the spot of the game.
I do too. I think the spot.
Georgia's on the outside looking in.
Well,
but Georgia's no great shakes relative to the the top 5, top 6 in the country. Like, they're capable of winning that game, but they're also capable of losing to teams that they got no business losing to.
Well, they're weird because they're capable of blowing Tennessee out by 40. I mean, they could beat a team that we couldn't be on the same field with, and they could beat that team by 40. And they could lose to a team that we might lose to by 7. So it's like they're a weird team because Carson Beck is currently a bizarre quarterback, a guy with all kinds of skills and somebody who has had moments where you go, oh, yeah, that's going to be a first-round draft pick. And then games where you go, my man, what are we looking at out here? So they got to get him right if they're ever going to have a chance here to do anything postseason-wise. And they might this weekend because I don't know that Tennessee, on the flip side, is going to light up this Georgia defense. In fact, I don't think they will on the road. I don't think they will.
Well, and this is the new definition, right? As you're talking about college football and playoff and title contenders, it's not the same as it was where you're done. If you're Georgia last year, you're done. It's already over.
Oh, right.
So it's all about next year. It's all about transfer portal stuff. It's about who are they going to fire. This Georgia team still is capable of winning it all. They could win it all.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
But you can also say at the same time that they're bailed out by the new playoff system and that they're standard slipping. They're slipping jimmies. This is not the dominant force that was 2 years ago. Last year, there were some red flags. This year, a continuation of that problem. Typically, when you have championship fatigue, oh my God, we've won so much, we'll never lose again. And you get surprised, as Georgia did last year in the SEC championship game, you usually have a bounce back immediately where like dominance follows that. And you haven't seen that out of Georgia this year.
No, it's been strange. So
there might be an opening.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I happen to think that opening doesn't happen this weekend. I think they'll kill Tennessee. So
for sure.
I'll lay that out there.
Balance of power in the sport. There's an opening now. Georgia has they had their run, and now they need to remind us if they will continue that run or not.
I don't know that anybody's going to have a great long-term run in the very near future. I think where this is all headed, Tom, in terms of the current system, where we're at, I'm not real sure anybody sustained, because you can't create and sustain any sort of talented depth anymore. People just take your players. If you don't win the starting job and you're a middle linebacker, say 4 or 5-star player that would make a huge impact in a year or two, you don't sit around and wait to get out there. You field the phone calls. You've got agents working for you. That another powerful program that has as equally as much money as the others through NIL, well, they need you right now. And they'll play you right now. And they'll pay you the same. So just come on over here and you don't even have to sit out. I just don't think you can sustain depth. I don't think that's why if you don't have a lot of depth in a collision sport like college football, you are going to end up losing your players, and then a few injuries happen, and your season goes from 10 to 11 wins to 2 to 6 to 5 pretty quickly. And I think we're going to start to see that. Again, I keep calling it the disparate football that is being played currently is only going to continue to grow in terms of the head-scratching seasons that we witness from name programs. I think that's going to continue. And then now you want to throw in the mix, you got problems off the field and some things like that where Georgia can't keep people to stay in between the lines on the roads. And you have issues like that time and again, then all of a sudden, that begins to kind of break apart a program or its integrity. And yeah, I think it could all fall to pieces. Now, that said, I mean, on a given day, as you point out, if they show up and care and they're buttoned up, Georgia can beat anybody in the country by a lot.
Well, recall that one of the greatest upsets in National Football League history. This is a Super Bowl upset of an undefeated New England Patriots team
By the Giants, yeah.
who were 9-7 that season, but they got hot. And that can happen in this sport because it's not a best of 3, a best of 5, a best of 7. It's one day. And in this era of NIL, you can have a frontline group of 22 like Florida State did last year and be good enough to win a championship. Every week that goes by in the NFL and you see Jared Verse and Braden Fisk destroying people is another reminder that, man, if you just gave us a puncher's chance, that D-line might have put a game in a race to 14, a race to 17.
Well, that's how they would have had to win, yeah.
Sure,
yeah.
And they could have perhaps done that. But more teams like what we were last year are actually going to get in there. And they're going to have a game on campus to start their run. And then they'll get into the second round, and we'll talk about rest versus rust. And next thing you know, it's 17 all at halftime. You're thinking, oh, my God, can this 8 seed actually make it to the Final Four? And this is how this all begins. But it also means that if you're a team with unbelievable talent who underachieves 3 times a year, but you get in at large, it doesn't matter that you went 9-3. You might just win the whole thing anyway.
Yeah, you could. And by the way, really quickly, you bring up, this is a great opportunity to celebrate 2 guys that we all really fell in love with pretty quickly in their brief stint in Tallahassee. But you mentioned Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. The article on ESPN, I think it might have been yesterday, involving analysts and writers, reporters who cover the NFL, former GMs and the like, ranking the best young players in the league this year. And Jaden Daniels, number 1, obviously. And by the way, Jaden Daniels will be in prime time 5 times next year. I mean, they'll erase Aaron Rodgers and the Jets and just put the Washington Commanders in there next year, which is smart because he's an electrifying player. But he's number 1 on the list. Brock Bowers was number 2. I didn't realize because he's stuck in Las Vegas and nobody watches them, and they've had a bunch of different quarterbacks. But he's been fantastic. 57 receptions, 580 yards. He's the only tight end with more catches He's the only tight end with more catches than him so far as Travis Kelce. So Brock Bowers has hit the ground running. He's just doing it in a place that nobody sees.
Yeah, my nephew knows that. He watches Raiders games. Nobody else I know does.
Yeah, well, we all thought he'd be a good player.
Yeah.
But there you go. Jared Verse was number 3 on their list. He has 37 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Obviously, the number 19 draft pick in the first round, leads all rookies in sacks, has created the 8th most pressures in the league at 28. He's obviously part of that group with Braden Fisk, trying to replace the productivity of one Aaron Donald, which is very difficult to do, and they've gone with the kind of group approach, and those 2 have led the way. He's top 5 is Jared Verse, because he's winning on 18.4% of his pass rushes, which is in the top 15 in the league out of 118 qualified defenders. He's good. He's really, really
speed
really
and power.
Yeah.
There isn't a down and distance that he's not capable of doing something with.
Yeah, and then you look at Malik Neighbors, who, if he hadn't missed time, might be number 2 on this list. He's been phenomenal, 61 receptions, over 600 yards receiving, and he's got sorry-ass Daniel Jones throwing to him and a host of other quarterbacks. So it's tough when you don't have, a real quarterback.
As it turns out, yes, the LSU Florida State back and forth, a lot of NFL talent, a lot of premier NFL talent on the field.
In retrospect, we walked out of that stadium and we're like, man, that was a great game. A lot of good players out there. Yeah, elite players. Elite, like as in first-round quality players all over the map. And then finally, Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think a lot of people thought would be better, but he is averaging 15.1 yards per catch.
He just got hurt, right?
Yeah, he's been up and down. And Kyler Murray has been up and down. And so, but he's a good player. And then looking at other guys in that top 10, a lot of them are players that in some cases are offensive linemen.
Old Fisky got to be in the top 20, I would think, if it went that far.
Braden Fisk just missed their top 10 list.
All right, yeah.
26 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. He's had a very good year. The guy that was on the others that were voted for list? Well, Bucky Irving in Tampa, buddy. Little Bucky Irving is a home run at 500 yards rushing, 200 yards receiving, and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think he would be on the list if he was their number 1 back.
Yeah.
He's doing that with number 2 touches.
You know who else was on the list? Go ahead, say it. Lad McConkey was on the list.
Very well. I'm sorry.
Man, McConkey was on that list. I told you he would be. Every week, baby. Lad McConkey's on the list. 40 receptions, nearly 500 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns. Good old Lad McConkey doing some things out here.
The only thing I could guess was Dan Lanning. I'm like, well, that's not the list. That's not the same list.
Jeff, Dan Lanning is not on the NFL list. Soon to be NFL Coach of the Year, Dan Lanning will be. That's a different article. That's a different article altogether. Back to the Redemption Thursday picks. Now that we've gathered ourselves, we're a little discombobulated because I was late to getting those picks in. I'll go with David Montgomery over 63.5 yards rushing. Jacksonville, however, to cover in that game. You know, it's an automatic play for me when NFL teams get 10.5 or more. It's just an automatic play. If you're getting 10.5, I'm always taking the 10.5. It's the NFL. I mean, sweet Jesus. They could get beat by 40, but it's a principle of it, and I'm going to do it. I'll take the 13.5. 49ers team total over 28.5. Brock Purdy over 254.5 yards passing. Cedric Tillman in Cleveland going to get 56.5 yards receiving. Come on, Jameis. It's a revenge game against the Saints. A revenge game against the Saints. Do it up. Sling that thing. Lions over 29.5 points. These days, if I catch the Lions getting more than, or if their projected point total is under 30, now you're not going to win all these. This is the way it works. I just always take the over on the Lions because that's an offense that most weeks is going to be slated based on the numbers, statistically speaking, is going to be slated to score over 30 points. And then, Tom, I brought it back. A little teaser pleaser. Little 3-team teaser pleaser at plus 143. And I see that's where you put the McConaughey. You thought that was the one.
No, I mean, that you're going to have some serious action there. Is that all the same window, the same NFL window for this weekend?
I don't think it is. I'll have to double check. No, I'm pretty sure it's not.
That's good because that means you can make it into the 4 o'clock window. Go, come home, teaser pleaser.
It's going to be a fun one. I teased the Niners down to 0.5 point, the Texans to 2.5, and the Bengals I added and got them to plus 7.5. And you get all of that action at plus 143. And there are the Redemption Thursday wagers. More forthcoming. My friend Shannon Young, loansforknowles.com, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. I almost said competition because we're always talking about competition. But if you want to be in that competition, you want Shannon Young on your side. That is for certain. A fellow Knoll, kicking ass, taking names in the industry, and a guy who works exceedingly hard for you and your dreams. Loansforknowles.com. Check them out today. Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, loansforknowles.com. Your body and transform your life with DexaFit Tallahassee, your go-to for science-backed health insights. Their DEXA scan gives you the most accurate body composition available, measuring bone density, muscle mass, and both subcutaneous and visceral fat. Get the data you need to track progress and make real changes. Your VO2 max is the best indicator of health and longevity, but it offers more than just a number. It shows respiratory function, calories burned at different intensities, and whether your body burns fat or carbs, helping you train smarter. DexaFit's RMR test reveals how many calories you burn at rest and the type of fuel your body uses, so you can dial in your diet for weight loss, muscle gain, or maintenance. And their red light therapy soothes sore muscles, reduces inflammation, and rejuvenates your skin. Right now, get a DEXA scan and red light therapy for just $99. That's a $184 value. Call 850-510-7728 or visit DexaFit Tallahassee's website to book. Know your body and transform your life this fall with DexaFit.
Don't miss TSC Tuesdays every Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m. during the Greg Tish Show. Find out what's happening at Tallahassee State College every Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3 FM.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless in zero gravity. All of the weight and worry of life is melted away, and you fall into a state of profound relaxation. This is what you'll find at Tallulah CBD Mushrooms THC in Railroad Square when you try out their state-of-the-art floating pods. While you're there, shop for the best quality CBD, mushrooms, THC, and kava products available. Shop Tallulah today with 6 locations in Tallahassee and the Kava Bar Lounge in Bannerman Crossings. Online at TallulahSmokes.com.
Social Kitchen on Cary Forest Parkway is your place for all things related to football season. Need steaks? Social Kitchen. Need chef-prepared sides and appetizers? Social Kitchen. Need desserts for a party? Social Kitchen. Anything you need this fall, Social Kitchen has you covered. Tallahassee's only premier market where you can receive the famed Snake River Farm steaks and premier meats. Social Kitchen also has chef-prepared meals and sides that are ready to serve in under 20 minutes. Stop in or visit online at socialkitchentlh.com. Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653. Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
This is Brian Kilmeade, and I'm excited to be on the air in the capital city. Be sure to tune into my show. I'll be giving you all the latest news, information, and the truth you demand. The Brian Kilmeade Show is live from 9 till noon, right here on Real Talk 93.3.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
So I was going to mention this in the same segment in which we did Redemption Thursday, but also that I sent my condolences to the Lynch family on the passing of Kevin Lynch. This one was a different sort of acknowledgement and a backstory to go with. For those of you that don't live in Tallahassee locally here, one of the local high schools just won the program's first ever state championship for volleyball, and the school is Childs High School. And here's my connection to that, oddly. It's tenuous, but I would just tell you this. I was good friends with a gentleman who passed away. His name was Nick DeLuzio. His daughter is the head coach at Childs for the volleyball team. And I want to say congratulations to Caitlin DeLuzio, who is now Caitlin John. I remember when she got the job, and I remember having a long conversation with Nick DeLuzio, whose name you may know if you're a longtime Florida State athletics supporter. Nick DeLuzio used to umpire Florida State baseball games back in the day. And he did much more than that, but he was a college baseball umpire, umpired a lot of Florida State games, lived just outside of Tallahassee. And unfortunately, Nick got cancer, and it was right around the time that his daughter, Caitlin, was going to be married. And he was battling that cancer and going through chemotherapy. And I would speak to him on a regular basis. And I can tell you, he was so proud of his family, so proud of her, and would give me updates on the regular about her efforts to to be a coach and to be a great coach in volleyball and to win at the highest level. And now she has. They've won the program's first ever state championship. So congratulations to her and to Childs, and to my guy Nick DeLuzio, who would be so very proud of his daughter, and he always was, but especially so after this most recent accomplishment, I can only imagine. And I got a really nice letter, or an email, I should say, from Garrett John, the husband of Caitlin, just the other day, in which he said that he wanted to pass on that information, that they had won, and that many nice words. Let's just put it that way, that he said in the email. So, Garrett, congratulations to you and your wife, and congratulations to the DeLuzios. And I thought that was awesome. That touched my heart, and I appreciate the email. Let's just put it that way. And congratulations to them. That's a hell of an accomplishment. To win a state championship in anything is really damn difficult to do. So good for them. God, I will say Nick was hysterical. He always wore suspenders, always helped people when he could. He was a delivery guy for a distributor for Similac, which is a baby formula. And Nick gave everybody I knew free Similac when they had their children if they needed it. He was that kind of guy and loved Florida State athletics and would call me on the regular. Heard you talking about this today. I don't agree, or I agree, or whatever it might be. And we talked about it all the time. Unfortunately, he got cancer, passed away. But yeah, good for them and good for Caitlin. And congratulations to her, who I've met numerous times. But golly, now I'm old because I can't believe it's been 16 years that she's been coaching at Childs.
Yeah, you're old. That's true.
It's
because
crazy.
I'm starting to get there. There was a phone call, I think it was last week's post-game show, where a kid said, I've been listening to you since 7th grade.
Oh, buddy.
7th grade.
Get used to it.
Dude.
I've had
That's
people. Well, first of all, I've had kids that I coached with the the Timberlane Raiders.
Yeah. They got grandkids now?
That are off in college and married, and they have kids and everything else. And I've had listeners of the program whose parents would take them to elementary school, and they would listen to me in the mornings 27, 26, 25 years ago, and have obviously graduated from Florida State or some university and gone on and started a career and got married. And like, oh, yeah, I was listening to you when I was a little kid on my way to school. My dad would drop me off, and we'd listen to you in the mornings. And, yeah, that happens. Now, what will get really weird is when those now parents tell me that those kids are having kids, then I'll be freaked out. Much the way I'm freaked out when I see, I don't know, a Major League Baseball player whose kid is now at Florida State. Gary Sheffield, who I ran into at Hotel Indigo and had a fun little conversation with because I lived a block from where he built his home after he joined the Marlins, and then stood in front of the elevator and said, I lived a block from where you built your house. I can still remember the two Marlins out in the driveway. And he was looking at me because I think he thought I was going to ask for an autograph. Instead, I was just going to tell him about his home. And his daughter was with him, and they both laughed because I grew up in that home. And I was like, yeah, Pinellas Point Drive, St. Petersburg. And he cracked up. But then I thought, well, this is weird. I'm talking to Gary Sheffield, which is obviously pretty cool, just that he was a great player. But that his kid is on the Florida State baseball team and has the exact same swing.
Yes, this is what we want out of all things we do in sports. I want all of our teams to play the way that the Sheffields swing a baseball bat.
Violently?
If all of our sports did that, we would have championships galore.
That's some quick wrist action right there, my man.
It was violent. He hit his 500th in a Mets uniform because he was, towards the end of his career, he was more like a middle reliever.
Yeah, he was a rental at the end, yeah.
Look at Gary go. I didn't know he was in the AL West. Whatever. You'd find him. But that dude, even into his late 30s, violent, fast swing. If you missed by 2 inches, he was going to turn on it.
Oh, yes. And what's funny about Gary was that he was rugged and tough, and I really loved how, that sort of warrior mentality is what he brought to each at-bat, which is sort of this, you love a guy. Freddie Freeman does it now. He's got a little bit lighter disposition, but Freddie Freeman talks about not wanting to surrender at bats and not wanting to strike out and still viewing a strikeout as shame and still viewing like you have to have a game plan. You may not get a hit. It's baseball. It's hard. But you better have a game plan. You can't just be willy-nilly up there just hoping. You got to have an idea. Well, this is what I'm trying to do. And then now that I have 2 strikes, this is what I want to do with 2 strikes. And I'm going to shorten up and I'm going to choke up and I'm going to do all the. I mean, that's that's the right idea, Freddie. Well, Sheffield, in terms of hitting for power, was going to strike out more, but had a game plan and he had power to all fields. So, it's pretty cool. I hope his son is of a very similar ilk.
Would be fantastic. Just get used to those shots from, the ESPN Plus broadcast, ACC Network broadcast.
Oh, yeah. You're going to hear it.
You're going to get, hey, there's Dad. There's Dad in the stands. Boy, he looks like he could still play. My goodness. That's what it'll be.
Well, guess what he does? I will tell you in talking to...
it'll be our new Jack Nicklaus's grandson thing.
Yeah. But I will say, in running into Gary and having that conversation with him, I was pretty well blown away. I think he looks bigger and stronger now than he did when he played. He never struck me as a huge guy when he played, in shape, strong guy. But you see him now, you're like, damn, that dude's stacked. But yeah, he's got violence. I love the violence.
Well, next time you see me at Hotel Indigo, just say, I thought you were wrong. I thought Pedro was right to throw at your head when you called timeout a second time. I've always wanted to tell you that. You were wrong. Pedro was right.
That second timeout was a bridge too far.
That was too much.
It was just too much.
You deserved it.
I will give Pedro a lot of credit for being fearless in the sense that he was a little man throwing at very big men.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, sir.
Well, he knew that there would be somebody to intercept the course. Yeah. And he never had to bat for himself. That's the crime.
Well,
that's the crime of it.
Yeah. I remember thinking, though, when he went over to the National League, he was going to have to bat for himself. Yeah. So there was that.
There wasn't really any retribution, really. Those are some funny at-bats.
Much as I love Pedro, I thought there should have been a few guys throwing at him. Once he was in the National League, I would have been like, hey, man, I'm not throwing at my boys' wrists.
Well, it's the classic case. A lot of us know moms and dads that were in our friend group like this, or maybe they're our own parents, that were one way when you were a kid, and everybody says, oh, they mellowed as they got older. Pedro became peaceful. It was like Serrano in Major League and Serrano in Major League 2. By the time Pedro was in the back half of his career, he was just laughing.
But I do think he would still throw at you.
He would, but the disposition wasn't the same.
Yeah, it wasn't as evil. It wasn't there. It wasn't all that.
And now he's, the class clown.
Well, he's great. He's great on MLB Network. USDA organic THC gummies can be yours. They're 100% legal. My friends at Cornbread Hemp reached out and said, why don't you give them a try, Jeff? I said, I don't mind if I do. So they shipped me some bottles of their hemp gummies, and I ate them. They were delicious. And they were just the right percentage of THC. You can get CBD as well if that's not your cup of tea. You can get both. You can do all kinds of things with what they offer if you go to that website. But you can also save 30% off your first order. Cornbreadhemp.com/warchant for my Jeff Cameron Show listeners. Use promo code WARCHANT at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use code WARCHANT. 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier, happier, happy hour. It's a good thing. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Crowley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a chance of thunderstorms. Daytime highs approaching 78, winds out of the south 8 to 15 miles per hour. Slight chance of rain showers tonight. Lows dip down to about 55, partly cloudy skies. Ample sunshine expected tomorrow, high of 72. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 76 degrees.
Honey, I'm home.
We're in here, honey.
So why are all my friends here?
Have a seat, Dave. We need to talk about your problem.
Problem? I don't have a problem. Dave, you do have a problem. A problem with your grill. Here's some pamphlets from Hearth and Patio. They are waiting for your call to help you upgrade your grill.
If you or someone you know needs a grilling intervention, call Hearth and Patio today at 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
This is Alex from Falmers. Are you looking for that hard-to-find person on your Christmas list? At Falmers, we are loaded down with one-of-a-kind items. Vintage guitars, pre-owned tools, electronics. Did you know we carry Louis Vuitton purses, bags, and wallets? Falmers has a large selection of new and pre-owned firearms. And don't forget about our large selection of gold and silver jewelry, all discounted at 50% off. At Falmers, we make your dollars go further. Shop early for the best selection, and don't forget to ask about our great layaway plan. Falmers Pawn, 2 times more than you might expect, with 2 great locations. This is Alex from Falmers. We've been buying gold and silver jewelry, fine watches, and other collectibles for over 45 years. But did you know Falmers buys and sells gold and silver coins, bars, and bullion? Don't get scammed online or pay high shipping and handling fees. Call or stop by Falmers for a quick and easy quote. No matter if you're new to investing in bullion or have been collecting a lifetime, Falmers is your local source for buying, selling gold and silver coins and bullion. Falmers, more than you might expect, with 2 great locations.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No, I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I know you haven't transitioned over just yet, and we don't spend a lot of time on it in the show, certainly not this early in the year, Tom, but it was a good night in the association. Wembanyama had 50 and hit 8 threes, by the way. Giannis had 59 and outscored the Pistons by himself in overtime and got the win. And LeBron James had his 3rd straight triple-double, and they needed every bit of it to come back and win their game against the Grizz. And
how did Bronny do?
No. But LeBron is almost 40, and that's insane. He's out here dropping 35, 14, and 10 on the regular. Still. Like, the only thing I'll say about all this is, look.
Oh, there's a hubris argument you could make about LeBron James that triggers everybody your age.
Oh, I don't know that I would be. I'm just pointing out an observation here about LeBron James that is 100% true, which is that for a dude who was tabbed a superstar in high school, I don't know that we've seen too many people live up to the hype, say, short of Tiger Woods.
Correct. And you could argue he's,
been the better person.
No, no, that's no argument there.
Yeah,
that's a slam.
No, but think about that. Like a dude of that age.
I'm talking about relative greatness in the sport he plays. Is he just going to keep going? At some point, can we say, well, oh my God.
Oh, I already
41, 42 years old. This guy is the best.
Well, he's a month away from being 40, and he just had his 3rd straight triple-double. And he's unreal. Objectively, I don't care if you get bogged down in the dumbassery of argumentation and, hey, he's not this guy, he's not that guy. He's unquestionably one of the 5 best players of all time. But secondly, at almost 40 to be doing this, and they needed it. Like, it wasn't like just a superfluous, I'll just throw in a few extra buckets here late so I can get some numbers. They had to have it. Davis was, saddled with 5 fouls and had to sit out late in the 3rd all the way into the 4th, and my man had to take over the game and did. And I hate the Lakers, and I don't really even care about LeBron James other than to note he's a great player. And I just, for all the people that I know that loathe that guy for whatever reason, the way that any superstar is either beloved or hated. Okay, that's the way it works. If you reach a certain status, whether it's in show business, music or acting or whatever it might be, or in sports, you're going to have a large contingent of people who are passionate about that thing, and they are either going to love you or hate you, and for whatever reasons there are, right? Some of it you can control, some of it you can't control at all. Some of it they're just sick of seeing you because the media obsesses, whatever it might be. But if you remove all of that stuff and then you just look at the game and the dude's numbers and what he does and what he still does, you'd have to say that there haven't been too many players or athletes ever that have come down the pike that were on the front cover of, say, with Sports Illustrated or whatever, on ESPN on a nightly basis at the age of 16,
right,
17, right, where the expectation was that you were going to be one of the greatest players to ever live, and then that person is one of the greatest players to ever live. And oh, by the way, never once has he ever been in trouble.
Well,
ever.
Yeah, I would just say that, a lot of people my age, because I'm a couple years younger than LeBron. So since I was in high school, he was in the NBA. Since I was in high school, he's been in the NBA.
Right.
When I was barely out of high school, he led the Cavs to the finals.
With a sorry-ass team.
That's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, basically it is.
By the way, the Cavs are 13-0.
Yeah, I saw that.
Were you aware of that?
Randomly.
Yeah, just as an aside.
It's just people my age often debate LeBron versus Kobe. That is so insulting to LeBron. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
No, if you're going to have the argument, have the LeBron versus
MJ, everyone.
Yeah. Have
LeBron versus everyone.
Sure.
He just keeps going. Like, at what point does that become legitimate? Maybe 3-4 years ago, you would say, no. At what point?
Well, he's the oldest player to ever do what he just did.
And he's going to continue to be if he wants to.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's going to be some slippage here from LeBron in the next year or two that's going to see him look like Jordan at the end. I just don't. Well, like, on a given night, maybe he'd go off 1 out of every 3-4 games.
Yeah.
No, man, the consistency that you've seen for 20+ years.
It's crazy.
Holy cow.
It is crazy.
Now, that said, I haven't watched him play in some time because,
Yeah. I watched the NBA a lot because my oldest son loves basketball, played basketball at Leon, and, loves it. And so he's, I've kind of fallen back in love with it because of him. In the same way that I loved it when I was in middle school and high school. And then for pockets of time throughout my life. It's been very, very weird. The basketball in general has been very weird for me. It's like I'm all in for long stretches at a time and then kind of fall out of love with it and fall back in love with it and then kind of fall back in love with it. It's a very strange. There aren't two. Like, I've never fallen out of love with college football or the NFL.
There you go. Chris says LeBron's not in the same breath as Kobe. Get out of here with that garbage. That's correct. He's in a higher breath.
He's in a higher
plane.
class, much better player than Kobe. But yeah, so it's interesting to watch the way that people react when it comes to superstardom and certain superstar players they attach themselves to. I see this all the time in the NFL as well. Like, there's a collection of people that can't stand Patrick Mahomes. And I'm like, well, I'm tired of the Chiefs. I'd really like to see the Chiefs lose. When they blocked the field goal last week, I went, are you effing kidding me? But it did not elicit some sort of screw Patrick Mahomes reaction. It's like, people got sick of Tom Brady too. Anybody who's that successful, who wins that much, you get sick of. That's true. But you have to separate the success of a player, of an individual, from whatever personal feelings you have about, their success, their wins, or whatever it might be, and the person. Like, Patrick Mahomes, it seems like to me he's a pretty good guy. His brother's not.
And his spouse likes to attach to Taylor's success, and that's really,
of course,
it's cringy. It's very cringy.
There's a lot of cringy things, but
going on in that executive suite service at the at Kansas City. The one sect of people that I would allow for the hatred is our guy, like our guy Troy Knoll. He's a San Francisco 49ers fan. You played him twice, and you lost twice by the slimmest of margins. Like,
no, I get the frustration.
We have far less frustration because
we hammered their ass.
That's correct. And the only reason that it wasn't a greater ass hammering was because he threw some of the greatest incomplete passes in NFL history.
Yeah.
He was Neo in the Matrix that night.
He sometimes still is.
But he wasn't enough.
Oh, not even. Well, they scored 9 points.
So therefore, we look
9?
on him and say, "Oh, look at that guy."
No, but I again, even removing all of that, there are superstar players in every sport. Some of whom I like, some I do not. But I do not make the leap to it's a conspiracy or the league wants to protect this guy but not that guy. League protects all their stars. The NFL is in the business of protecting all of their quarterbacks, like at an absurd level. Watch all of the, in any given weekend, and I have the Sunday ticket, you flip around. I mean, slapdick quarterbacks that have no business being protected will be the beneficiary of roughing calls that have very, very little substance to them. I mean, I brushed his shoulder as I went past a half a second after you threw it. You're like, really? We're going to be out here protecting Daniel Jones, are we? We're really
right. You'll protect Daniel Jones.
Andy Dalton is going to get your protection here.
You'll protect Dalton or Jones, and then Burrow gets smacked in the head on the last drive against Baltimore,
and you miss it. Right? Yeah.
No, you didn't miss it. That's where I buy into some of the. You just chose not to. You decided to let it go.
The only reason that you would say that, though, Tom, is that you're saying in the moment of the game they chose to let it play out, not that they had anything against Burrow and for somebody else.
But they chose to do something that clearly there's a mandate that has to happen 100% of the time, and there's no way there aren't at least two sets of eyes on a quarterback's helmet getting smacked in the head.
I've talked about this. Here's the thing.
And I didn't have money on that game just in case people are thinking.
No, but what people have to know is here's what I think. I think that there are sets of rules at the ends of games that are very different than in the middle of games. And I know it ought not be that way. We can always argue about what is or what ought to be. The consistency, the blanket application of rules from the first second of the game to the final second of the game should be unilateral. It should be as even across the board, regardless of the score, the time, the status of the player, any of it, right? But we know that's not how it works. And fans tend to want it both ways. If you don't call something in the last 2 minutes, everybody's outraged that you didn't call it because that would have been a penalty at 11:32 to go in the half in the second quarter, right? If you do call it, they're like, can you let the players play? This is big boy football. It's the end of the game. We're going to call this nonsense? I hear it every week. Go to any bar. That's exactly. And when it's for your team, you're of the mindset, well, they had to call it. I mean, good God, they had to call it. When it goes against your team, you're amazed. You're like, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to decide to call this now, even though we know.
Well, in the span of about 4 minutes of real time, we lived it in Pasadena with the horse collar that was not called.
Unbelievably, but I believe that was just missed.
I think, yes, because the out-of-shape line
that
judge.
fat official trying to run down the field. Right.
Which we've
got to do better.
59-year-olds, let's let them run around and sprint for 3 hours.
It's a toughie.
Yeah, and those are the young ones.
Yeah.
But then also the hip pull on Rashad Green on the pass interference at the goal line. One could argue that you should let the players play.
Yeah, that would have been a bit much, but yeah, I mean, that's a pretty damn strong interference penalty there. I mean, but again,
I'm glad they didn't.
Here's the deal. All of those guys are fallible, and what the NFL should be ripped for, or college football, or any professional sport, or close to it, is that you should always be attempting to get the very best out of your officials, and you should be attempting to elevate the product and ensure the integrity of the game at all costs. You never want to be in a position where fans can interpret a missed call or a made call as anything other than an official didn't see it, it needs to be reviewed, whatever it might be. It should never be that you think there's some sort of gerrymandering going on. And fans too often, just like they do in any number of other realms, think that there's some sort of insidious motivator. But I don't believe that to be the case. I think that sometimes incompetence is just what it is and should be called for what it is. I think the NFL's biggest problem, for example, if we're going to use that and get back to that, is that They don't take the head official and put him up in the booth and let him oversee his referee crew. That way, you would ensure that it was the head official of an entire crew that was correcting the members of his own crew week to week, as opposed to an official away from the field, off location in New York, for example. They don't like the perception of New York weighing in and overturning a call that a head official or a crew makes on the field. So if you're really worried about it, have the head official be up in the booth on site, looking at every play, correcting his own group's mistakes.
Right. Well, I think at this point, we're in year 15 of having official segments. I think they like it because they know that you will have segments.
Well, it's not unlike the committee rankings and all the things that we're talking about.
I think they're okay with it because the XFL, for example, the AFL, for these little two most recent spinoffs, have shown you how they can do conversations between a booth official and a field official.
Yes.
And they will allow that closed circuit communication to be on the broadcast itself. They do it for VAR and soccer.
Well, it makes zero sense to me why they haven't adopted that in the NFL right now, because here's the deal.
They
better
like the missing hand.
No, but better ratings for that conversation. Because I think we would all admit that oftentimes when we're watching a really close call or replay, that we will say, oh, God, I don't know. I mean, most of the time, you and I, we laugh about this. The Jeff and Tom team would get this right inside of 30 seconds, and we'd be back to playing ball. We wouldn't be sitting here all day long. But there are a handful every week where you go, ooh, I don't know. I'm going to see 14 different angles on this one. I'm not real sure. Or we don't have the view.
Right.
But that conversation would be fantastic.
What it would be is, do we have all the angles? Guys, is that all we have? Is that every angle we have?
The Falcons-Bucks in Tampa.
Right.
Pitts clearly fumbles the ball before going over the line.
You could actually prove that without needing the camera
You could have,
angle,
but you would have been sitting there for a while to prove that. But the point is, they didn't have the stupid, I don't understand how they don't, but anyhow, they didn't have the angle they needed right away.
They don't have enough money.
But that whole idea, like, have that conversation. Because you would at least then be privy to the mindset, and you would see that it's revealed nobody's got a bent towards a team or not.
They should do what colleges do and say, hey, we're going to add $5 to everybody's tickets so that we can have more cameras. We're going to pass on to you guys.
Hour number 2, forthcoming on a Redemption Thursday. Hang with.
AC and electric is what we do.
Is your air conditioner operating at maximum efficiency? Is it tuned up and inspected to help prevent a summer breakdown? Now that we're in the middle of the Tallahassee heat, it's important that your answer is yes to both of those questions, because you need the system running smoothly to help keep power bills down, and you definitely don't want a breakdown with a 105-degree heat index. Contact Parker Services today and learn about their Peak Performance membership. It's a low-cost way to keep your AC tuned and catch potential problems before they happen. And there are many other benefits, including priority service and a 15% discount on repairs. Call
one of the good things about actually eating Factor at my house, the Cameron household, me, my kids, my wife, we order Factor long before they ever came on here to be a sponsor of the pod or the show. But I was reading the copy, and they say to you, it's just a suggestion. You can look at it a lot of different ways. But this one leads with sweater weather pairs perfectly with savory fall foods. And I thought that's true. It does. It's not what I'm going to talk about, but that's a great comforting way to think about Factor. It's beautiful. Here's the other thing to think about Factor is that the food is delicious, prepared by chefs, and it's healthy, and it comes right to your doorstep, and you're busy. You don't have time to cook all these different delicious meals. Either do I. That's why I get 12 of them shipped to my house. Now, you can have more than that. I do 12. Brought to your doorstep, pulled from the box that they come in, frozen ice. You put that sucker right, frozen ice, listen to me. Put them in the fridge, you're good to go. Kids just pull them out. 2 minutes later, you're eating a delicious meal. And it's any kind of diet, too. It could be keto. It could be just calorie-friendly, whatever it might be. You could be a vegetarian, pescatarian. Doesn't really matter. Factor has delicious meals for you and yours, no matter the lifestyle or the food choices. Head to factormeals.com/Cameron50. Use code Cameron50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code Cameron50 at factormeals.com/Cameron50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month.
They have the best prices, of course. Plus, you get a free accessory and no interest financing. Easy peasy. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas. Locally owned, locally operated, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show, live and local on Real Talk 93.3, WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3, brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence is going to miss his second straight game as he will not play on Sunday against the Lions. That's according to an ESPN report. With Lawrence missing the game, Mac Jones is going to start at quarterback for a second straight week. The Jaguars will have their bye after this weekend, so this will give Lawrence a little bit of additional time to fully heal. Again, the Jaguars and the Lions on Sunday. Also this weekend, the Dolphins will play host to Las Vegas. The Buccaneers go into a bye week. They don't play again until November 24th when they take on the Giants. NBA basketball yesterday, Magic over the Pacers at 94-90 as they move to 7-6. This Sports Flash is brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun, and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
Lowe's knows you want to get even more value for the holiday. That's why as a My Lowe's Rewards member, you get new member deals on holiday decor, tools, and more. And you earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards to help you save on holiday and more. Not a member? Join for free today at Lowe's.com/MyLowe's Because Lowe's knows deals. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See Lowe's.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
This holiday season, Straight Talk Wireless is letting you say yes a lot more with real unlimited data. Yes to sharing pics of the ugliest holiday sweaters. Yes to checking weather on the go for surprise sledding trips. And with a free bonus sign up, let the yes-tivities begin.
No way!
Yes way. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1/5/25 while supplies last at participating stores. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation on select single line plans. Limit of 2 phones per customer for network management practices.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Sellers, are you stuck between wanting to sell your home and waiting for rates to fall? Are you worried about the contingency of having to sell your home? What if you didn't have to? With a 2-1 rate buy down, you can lock in a lower interest rate for the first 2 years of your mortgage and get the home you want now, all while having a higher chance to buy that next home with the contingency of selling yours. If you wait for rates to fall, you risk more competition, sellers less likely to wait, and paying more for that next property. If you're stuck, we need to talk. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. Again, this is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. That's 954-369-6171. And don't forget, for every loan we close for our fellow Noles, I will personally donate $250 to the Battle's End.
Equal housing rent. NMLS number 373031.
Hey, Noel fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
On the hiring and further firing within the coaching staff at Florida State. It makes it tough. I got to admit, it makes it tough. I mean, I'm inclined to just take a long look at other games throughout college football this weekend, the NFL as well. It's a great weekend in the NFL. Man, we are in good shape in terms of what we get this weekend. Some great games, opportunities to dive in. Weather is beginning to change throughout the country. By the way, Tom, I want you to know I sprinkled a little pizza money on Novak at the Butterfield Bermuda Championship, and Novak is tied for 4th with a 67 today.
That's a golfer?
Yes.
I thought you were referring to Joker.
No.
Well, he can't be tied for 4th. That's not a thing in tennis.
Andrew Novak. A little pizza money on him yesterday morning to go along with some of the other guys that I mentioned, including Ben Griffin, who I have, who's 2 under, just a few shots off the lead. But the point would be, the beauty of golf betting is that it's year-round, baby. You may have to bet the Lipton tea. You may have to bet the...
That's the Champions Tour event.
You may have to bet the Butterfield Bermuda. You may have to bet... You may say, give me a little Garrett Higo this weekend. Feeling good. How's my man Jacob Bridgerman doing?
Sponsored by Hims.
Bridgerman, by the way, is 3 under, doing well. If you guys took my advice on Bridgerman, you just need him to finish top 20. We're just looking at placing. Just looking at placing, everybody. We're off to a good start. That's all I'll say. Did not put any money on Kevin Kisner because I hate him. But he's playing well, as an aside. Back to the NFL, which I said the weekend is robust. And I would say it begins tonight in what should be a great football game and one that reminds me of my youth. Just the rivalries of the NFL that you grew up with. One of them was Washington and Philadelphia, just like Washington and Dallas and Philadelphia. And then, of course, when we were kids, oddly, you had the Bay of Pigs, Packers and Bucks back when we were in a different division. Packers and Bears, Bucks and Bears, Bucks and Lions.
In my time, they called it the Battle of the Bays.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, a mutual friend of ours who I often am on the golf course with, he grew up a Green Bay fan at the same time. We never talked about that. Revisiting Favre versus Brooks and Sapp, Robert Brooks, Dorsey Levens, Gilbert Brown, Reggie White.
Good old Dorsey Levens.
That was a nice little 3-4 year run for that rivalry.
Well, yeah, it was ugly. There was the Warren Sapp play.
Yeah.
The broken pelvis. It was beautiful.
Put a jersey on.
Yeah.
You're so tough. Mike Sherman?
Yeah, Sherman was right. But,
he was.
But still.
It took him about 20 years to make that play illegal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was completely legal, but yeah.
Chad Clifton.
Washington at Philadelphia tonight should be a good football game, and it's an 8:15 start time. Prime Video. If you serve your overlords at Amazon, you should be able to get the game. There it is. They've had huge ratings for these games, and tonight will be massive, and it will further cement where this is all headed, and that is behind a paywall. that is for all of these games. We are someday looking at behind a paywall for all of them. Want to see the NFC Championship game this weekend? Behind a paywall.
I would think that's what's going to happen too in our Saturday sport.
Oh, I think
the
absolutely.
expenses are just too astronomical.
Too much,
You
too
know,
much, guys.
The cap is going up, or our expenses are too high. I mean, we also have to pay for the total cost of attendance, and we did not anticipate all of these costs. Yeah, it's called being bloated for decades because you didn't know where to put the money. Now that the money's going where it's supposed to, you're going to have ESPN plus, just like a pay-per-view for UFC, for the SEC championship game, for the first round of the playoffs. It's coming.
Remember, I gave you the lowdown of what they were attempting to put together there at ESPN, and we went and documented that whole thing. It's fascinating. By the way, again, I talked about it being a good weekend. Speaking of a full bloated weekend, if you will, I think that Kansas City Buffalo suffices there. What a great game that is in the 4:00 window. Man, can Buffalo give Kansas City their first loss of the year? I think so. Buffalo is the favored team. I played up Kansas City on the points there as part of a different parlay, but kind of a fun game there. I do believe Baltimore-Pittsburgh, old school, nasty, fun rivalry as the weather shifts. Here we go.
Of course the Steelers beat Washington. I had no idea till Tuesday that happened.
Oh, you didn't see how it happened?
No.
Yeah.
No, I saw it because they cut to it with a game break during our game, and I was just watching on old school Fox instead of the ticket or anything like that. And it was 27-13. I'm like, well, that game's over. Wrong.
It's rather remarkable what he's able to do every year. I mean, just every year. It's incredible. I mean, the Steelers, to watch them, you don't think they're very good. Yeah, they're 7-2. They're 7-2. They just beat the Commanders at Washington. I'll grant you they don't have any great wins this year. In retrospect, their win over the Chargers is a pretty good win. But they are about to go through they're going to go to the playoffs, but they do have a stretch now where they play the Ravens. In a couple weeks, they'll play a desperate Bengals team. And 2 weeks after that, they're on the road at the Eagles and on the road at the Ravens, and then they host the Chiefs. So there is a stretch there where they've got, in all likelihood, some losses coming. But there they sit atop the AFC North.
It is a really interesting thing to look at because it reminds you of teams that have been in purgatory, and yet, Tomlin's won things, and he's obviously won a Super Bowl for them. It's been a minute now.
Yeah, but he never has a losing season, ever.
No, see, here's in 2017, they had a 13-3 campaign, but they lost in the first round to Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Bortles team.
Yep.
Since then, 9-6-1. Of course, they had a tie. 8-8, 12-4. Lost in the opening round to the Browns and Baker. 9-7-1. Of course, they had a tie. 9-8, 10-7, and now 7-2.
Well, the last 2 years is what projected everybody to say this would be the year that they get got, and he finally has his bad season. And that the undercurrent of frustration with what Steelers fans would call mediocrity over the last 5 years would rise to the surface, calls for his head despite never having a losing season, would grow louder. And he says, yeah, no, I'm 7-2. Go to hell. That's what my man says.
That is true. They have not won a playoff game since 2016, though. That would be the retort.
Yeah, no, I get it.
They got a crack at it this year with Danger.
Stop it.
I didn't call him the other one.
Yeah, just don't do it. Just don't do it. You got me distracted thinking about how much I hate that guy. How ridiculous he is, but he's playing pretty well right now.
He's the front man of a quiet team that you quietly have admired them for a while now.
Oh, I admire the fact that they don't have bad seasons.
But now, front and center is your guy.
No, listen.
Dan Lanning.
You and I were both on board with him coming out
of
college, that he would be a good NFL player, and he has been. Then he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I do recall saying that in the Gruden's quarterback camp interview that, oh, man, I mean, between the talent and then the knowledge, the one problem was he does have kind of a faraway stare. Had it. Nailed it completely. But he's also having that little career renaissance that it felt like he was never going to have with Denver. We'll see if it lasts because Justin Fields wasn't too shabby to start the season for them. So if it gets a little shaky, you wonder if they have a quarterback debate.
Michael Alford addressed Florida State faithful everywhere yesterday, and it came at a time in which people wondered what the athletic director was going to have to say about the head coach, the staff, the season in play here currently, which is, of course, a disaster, lost sponsorship, sagging booster contributions, decreased ticket sales, financial challenges. As Ira wrote, an avalanche of financial challenges. Yes. They're going to have to pay assistant coaches millions of dollars to not coach, to leave, to get the hell up out of here. And I would think that there's going to be more than just the 3 that have been announced. Probably a couple more, at least, that will take it on down the road. Some with a gentle push, and others by choice. I'm going to take another job. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, extricate myself from this campaign. 1-9, removed from 13-1 by a year, is remarkable. So we did wonder when we'd hear from the athletic director. Now we've heard from him twice in the last few days, and he wanted to point out that the brand is still the brand, and that Florida State, upon opening their coaching search, was, I guess he would have you believe, and so would Mike, besieged by phone calls from interested parties, some of whom are labeled big names. I don't know if that's true or not. I remain skeptical. I think that you might be loose with the term big name if you are an athletic director or head coach in this situation. Probably. Is it somebody you've heard of? That's a big name, damn it.
Well, they got a coach that was out of West Virginia who checked in. Big Tim McCabe. Now we can say that we've had big names check in. Big Tim McCabe.
But, he has said that they have not seen sales or excitement in the process dwindle at any moment, that the commitment to getting this program back, meaning the boosters and all of those that have given to a larger extent than the rest of us.
Gobs of money.
Gobs of money is a good way of saying it. But he believes that that those people are unwavering and that they understand this is not the time to bail. I would agree with him on that. This has been an interesting week because it's a week in which we do not have to concentrate on the result of a game. This has been an interesting week in which we do not have to talk about an upcoming game. This has been a good week to talk about solely this process of getting this turned around and all of its tentacles. That's storyline and the future of the program is a nice respite from why didn't we do this and why didn't we do that and how come we can't tackle or catch.
It is nice. I would say that the support, the unwavering support, you would have to define that as spirited discussion laden too, though. Support can be critical, yeah, because it means you're still engaged with the parties. I don't think that there are Seminole boosters contributing lots of money who are saying, it's fine, I know you'll figure it out, here's the check. I'm sure there are questions and spirited discussions and Q&As going, because when you're at a certain level, you do get the bad phone. You can make a phone call, and it will be picked up and or returned.
Has to be.
Hastily. So I'm sure that whether there might be unwavering support from a lot of people in the Bowden Society or whatever level you're talking about, but I doubt it's just been a positive fest when you get on the phone and you talk to them about what has happened this year.
Impossible. It would be impossible. You'd have to have your head in the sand.
And you wouldn't have called a web meeting for boosters only last night if it was all positive. You wouldn't feel the need to do that. You would just say, all right, let's just keep on trucking. But they didn't. They decided to speak directly to the boosters.
You have again, I quote from the article on Warchant.com by our own Ira Scheffel, protracted legal battle with the ACC. Obviously, the goal is to leave the conference. We've explored the possibility of staying in the ACC in exchange for a larger chunk of the media revenue than the other schools in this conference, or at least that was reported. Alford declined to discuss the ongoing lawsuits during the interview he did with Warchant, but he said Florida State's prospects won't be diminished by one poor season. I think that's true. That's my opinion, just like it's probably his. But he did point out that Florida State continues to draw huge television numbers and is featured in primetime windows in spite of this putrid season, and he's right about that. Seems like all of our games are where everybody can see them all the time, right in the middle of prime time, almost singularly by themselves for the world to watch this blank show.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know that we're rating all that much, though, because I feel like we'd be seeing tweets to that end if our numbers were massive on a given weekend. We are getting the primetime window. We're selected for them, but I'm not seeing infographics nearly as much.
Well,
as
somebody's
I
got to
did
fill
last
certain time slots that run counter to another game,
Yeah.
and there's a brand that would do better than another.
year. Yes.
Ours is that brand.
You know what? We might put a dent in Florida, Georgia if we put Florida State at 3:30.
Right.
You know, that's the
That
talking
kind of
point.
talk.
Instead of, oh God, this is our A game. Let's make sure we feature them tonight.
He did say something that is something that I can tell you I've heard within media circles and people who cover the sport, and I find this fascinating, and that is the prevalence of the opinion that Florida State will bounce back quickly. I think that a lot of people, whether that be coaches in the game, people who cover the game on a national level and regional level, as well as, I think, those that cover recruiting, oddly. I'll put it that way because I've heard from one such person, and it's not our own, that they believe Florida State will bounce back rather quickly, that this is indicative of a very weird time in the sport where, again, and I've a broken record with this, you will see strange outliers from different name programs with a cachet annually until certain things change. Now, again, that doesn't give you a pass for being at the bottom of the barrel in the country at scoring points. You don't get, you can have a bad year, but you don't get a pass for being or looking incompetent on offense.
Yeah.
You don't get a pass for that.
Right. Yeah. Strikeouts are up across the league. Well, you're still hitting 065.
Yeah.
So I don't care that strikeouts are up across the league.
Yeah.
You're hitting 065. You sit.
Yeah. Yes. Here was the quote. Everybody I talk to in the country in this profession, whether it's administratively or coaching wise, all know we're going to get this back. They know it'll be very quick. That's the sentiment across the country. Well, I mean, that might be the sentiment that one would say sitting across from the athletic director at Florida State. Does it hurt us in our negotiations? Those are still ongoing. People understand Florida State. They understand this is a strange year. This is not the norm. People also anticipate us getting back very quickly. I think that part of it's true. I think people do assume that Florida State will be back. It's funny when you're hyper-focused on a program the way we are. So if you are a fan, if you are a supporter, if you are a graduate or a booster, or if you are somebody who is both of those things, but also a member, say, of the media that covers the program, anybody that is hyper-focused on one thing lives in that world and views the outside world from the prism of that world. And so it is very easy to get wrapped up in the doom and gloom of what's happening within those walls, right? Where you'd say, oh my God, this is unimaginable. But we tend to forget seasons that are maybe not quite like this, but not dissimilar from other programs, like 2 years removed after they happen. Where you go, I got to go back and look at that. What was the last time Texas was bad? Oh, geez, 4 years ago, they won 4 games. Like you do that sometimes, and you forget it because you weren't covering that team. You weren't focused. You weren't locked in on that. That wasn't the world you lived in, that you were encased in. So you didn't know, or you forgot. It happens all the time. And so when you're going through it, you feel like you're buried under thousands of feet of filth. But, the second you come out the other side and you reemerge as a good program again, every year removed from this season, nationally, people will forget it even happened. Not totally, but you get my point.
Yeah, well, I mean, the easiest way to get from where we are now to where we want to be is the offensive line's better. The issue...
That's the number one thing.
The issue is, well, I mean, if you had a decent offensive line this year, you'd have a decent record, maybe a better than decent record, because you'd be able to run the ball, and that masks so many things that we see now. We're worried about separation. You know why? Can't run the ball. So they're like, well, they can't run. We're just going to throw normal numbers at that problem, and now we're going to have some fun with these receivers. But if you could run the ball, you're going to see separation because play action would be a thing. And the next thing you know, the offense moves a little bit. You actually bother to score 24 points, 27 points, 30 points, and you got yourself a season. Is it a good one? Maybe, maybe not. But it's not this. So that's the quickest path. The issue is that, a lot of your defensive line, especially that interior, who helped you keep some of these games close until they weren't, until their spirits were broken or, time of possession was 18-10 in the first half. And you're going, oh my God, these guys are going to be exhausted in the second half. A lot of that talent's out the window. So how are you replenishing your defensive line talent, especially the interior? And you're going to need a huge roster overhaul. You're going to need 4 dozen kids next year to get you back to around 8-9 wins. Because next year's schedule ain't a cakewalk. You've got a lot of landmines in there because Alabama's a part of it. So that doesn't help your out-of-conference schedule. You got a couple of layups. But Alabama, who knows what Miami's going to be? They certainly have momentum to work with this offseason to replenish what they're about to lose, which is a lot. Florida could have a young quarterback who's pretty good. We anticipate if he stays on campus that they will be all right in that regard, and Clemson's okay too. So, all right, you got your hands full next season. You need to win at least one of those to have a shot at winning 8 games for the year. You need a lot of help. That would be where I say, yes, there's a quick path back, but that doesn't mean that it just requires a couple of coaching changes. You need a lot of bodies to come in here to help you. Got to have it.
And many of them probably come with the coordinators we're talking about hiring, and then the others will be from, in all likelihood, teams that were under the group of 5 banner, and we've had a lot of success with those players. We're in the midst of lauding the likes of Fisk and Verse, Western Michigan and Albany. They exist. They're out there. Got to get it right. Got to do your due diligence. Got to fully vet and do a better job than you did this last go-around. Almost looks like, in retrospect, we lazily took a bunch of players who came from name programs because we thought, well, if you're recruited to LSU and you're recruited to Alabama, you must be a good player.
If it is in fact true that that was the reason that those kids came in here solely because of that,
I just think it made it easier to say yes. I think it made it easier to say, seems to me if they got offers to those schools.
Much like how we dip into the transfer portal and the head coach is telling you what he believes to be deficient on the roster. I don't think there's going to be a press release for all the firings in the front office operation, if you will, the equivalent of a front office operation. But when you learn about how many new names are in there, you're going to learn the scope of the problem as defined by Mike Norvell and to a degree Alford as well. Because I do think the athletic director can have a conversation with the head coach about the operation, not the on-field stuff. The efficiency of the operation, the people that are working in offices all day, not on the field. So it'll be interesting to see how many new names come in that regard.
When Alford talked about wanting to meet with Mike Norvell at the end of the season to discuss any number of issues with the entire organization, I believe that's 100% correct. I believe that is a conversation, first of all, that you could have right now because the end of the season's already happened. It really has. Who are we kidding?
I think they already have it.
Yeah.
They've already had it, and then it's ongoing. But he has to say that to allow for space because they're not in a position to make those firings happen right now. It's just that you've been in a position like this. I know you have. I have too, where you're specifically good at certain things, but you mess up or things are going wrong. And so therefore somebody who's above you in the pecking order has to get technical with you about what it is you do. And you go, this is insulting. You have no idea what it's like to do this thing. Yes, but it's not succeeding. So therefore we're having the conversation. And
Yeah.
well, you're not wrong.
That part is fair, and
You're
it's
not
always
wrong.
frustrating, and you're kind of like, well, I resent that we're having this conversation because you know precious little about what I do. But that said, big picture, you're not wrong.
Right. This is Alford sitting across from Norvell saying, so what about that linebackers coach? And he's like, you're going to talk to me about X's and O's? He's, well, here are the numbers. And so somebody
no, I'm not going to talk to you about X's and O's. I'm going to tell you about how many times we failed to bring in legitimate high-level linebackers to this program. Yeah.
Here are the numbers. So somebody's got to have this conversation with you. I know you know more about football, but, this is what's happening.
But you're 2-10.
Yeah.
So we're talking.
I know we're 2-10 at best. At best.
It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. There are many companies out there selling pest treatment programs at prices which seem too good to be true. Like most things, you get what you pay for. Let's separate the fact from the fiction. Fiction. The price these companies offer includes all visits needed to keep a home pest-free. Fact. Their prices only include regular visits for exterior treatments. If you encounter pests inside your home, these companies will charge you for additional visits. Is that really pest prevention? At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we always apply exterior treatments, but our plan includes a significant difference. Whenever you encounter an interior problem, Paul's technicians are there, usually the same day you call, and there is no extra charge. With ProShield, you'll never pay extra for providing the service we promised. Pest prevention for your home, and we'll be there as many times as needed to honor our commitment with no extra charge. Paul's Termite and Pest Control is a local company that proudly served the Tallahassee area for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites and any other pests,
call Paul's. We'll get them all.
And we make lawns greener, too.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
There's no heating and air.
Dream it, plan it, do it. Brian Barnard's Flooring America offers a straightforward way to shop with our streamlined shopping.
Finding the right flooring is simple. Visit our newly remodeled showroom featuring the Room to Explore shopping experience, where our knowledgeable staff will walk you through the steps.
Our family has been serving the area since 1976 with a local staff of more than 35 people trained in flooring sales and design. We know floors.
And we know styles. Let us help make your home timeless.
Brian Barnard's Flooring America, where friends send friends.
Time. It's the one thing we never get back. We can't create it. We can't buy it. We can't store it somewhere. Once it's gone for good, which makes it the most valuable thing we have. The only real question is how we spend our time. So, how much time are you spending every day running in circles with a computer network using old software on old equipment that's wasting your time, that gets in the way and leaves you feeling angry and frustrated? Let's fix that. Call Crown Networking. They've been helping people just like you and I make the best use of their time for the last 20 years. Now is the time for you to make the call. Here's the number in Tallahassee, 850-999-0090, 999-0090, or online at crownnetworking.com. Oh, and talk to them about getting you a new phone system, too. You know, it's time.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
You know how yesterday we were talking about Major League and the actor that was the manager who's been deceased for 10 years, I believe it is?
Yeah, Lou Brown was the name of the character, yeah.
Yeah, and James Gammon was the name of the actor. And I said to you at the time, I vaguely remember some sort of connection to FSU, and I could not figure out what it was and why. And we did a little cursory search, and we couldn't find anything about what it might have been, like why was Gammon somehow connected to FSU, or why would I think that? Credit to St. Warwick on Twitter, who reached out to me to tell me exactly. He says, just got around to hour number 3 from yesterday. Jeff Cameron Show. James Gammon showed up at an FSU baseball game back in the day. John Nagowski was at the game, wrote a column about his visit. As I recall, Gammon's daughter was attending FSU, possibly film school at the time. Nogo was teaching journalism at TCC. I remember asking him about that. Still remember Gammon and his daughter walking past us and everyone wondering, is that the guy from Major League? The column came out. It was really cool. Random moment. So that's the FSU tie-in that you remember. I ran into Nagowski at Publix like a month ago. He was just finishing writing a book, another baseball book, which was pretty cool. We had a good long conversation, like a historical baseball book.
I would have let him speak to the team. I know he has no credentials in reality, but if I was 11, I would have brought him down and let him speak to the team.
Would have let him light up a cigarette and do it. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I knew there had to have, like, why? Because I kept thinking, why do I think that? Why was there some sort of connection to FSU?
Got me a transistor radio.
But there it is. For those that were wondering, we've answered the question, which is cool. You know, we play basketball against Florida Friday.
6 p.m.
What if we win?
That would be, I was going to say shocking, surprising, stunning, all at once in one word. I don't know what that word would have sounded like, but it would be any one of those.
Old Biscuit 54 weighed in on the chat. Says, I remember FSU losing 20 straight, Mudra and Jones. Then came Bowden. Stay the course, guys. Hang in there. I've seen this before. And worse. Yeah. Thank you, Old Biscuit. I'll just tell you that the hard part for people is that those are different eras, bygone eras, different times when.
I'm glad Mike didn't stay the course. He didn't. He said, we need a new course.
Well, I don't think that's
chart it.
I don't think that's what Old Biscuit means.
I know, but still, I'm just saying, Mike is not like, well, let's run it back. We'll get it right this time.
At some point, here's what happens when you're either a fan or you're not. You're either a supporter of your university or you're not.
All right.
It took me a very long time to really realize and live that and believe that. So like when you go, so listen, here's a good example. I was making fun of it one time on the chat weeks and weeks ago. Leon's football program historically was one of the best in Tallahassee at one time in the state. Lots of changes have occurred in the modern landscape that have changed that. Now, a year ago, they went 6-4 and their coach won Coach of the Year, and it was all really cool, and that was fun for me to watch with my son and all that. This year, they were terrible. They had a series of injuries that devastated them in week one, including losing their starting quarterback, who was a senior and really good. Okay, the thing fell off a cliff. They went 1-9. Now,
they're in good company.
They are, yeah. So, in this given year, my Noles are 1-9. My son's Leon Lions, 1-9. He's having surgery on the 18th. What's today? The 14th. So, in 4 days, he'll be having surgery to reattach the abductor longus and groin back to his pelvic bone. I cross my fingers.
HIPAA be damned.
That's a tough one. That said, every week I watch Florida State, and every week I certainly went and watched my son at Leon.
Thank God you have Todd Bowles on Sundays.
Hey. Actually, we've been kind of fun to watch this year because they're in games they have no business being in. The Chiefs and the 49ers are like, what in the hell with this Bucs team without their two best players? If my man wasn't a coward, obviously he would have gone for 2 against the Chiefs, and that would have been a different story. But anyhow, that said, my point is that I was just in Chicago as a fan going to the Florida State Notre Dame game, knowing that what happened was about to happen, right? And people will say, man, how can you go to that? How can you continue to go to these games? Because I'm a Nole. What, am I going to not root for Florida State? Am I only going to go to games when they're good? I'm not talking about my job, which is separate. And there are days that I go just only for the job purpose and what we're going to do here on the show or whatever. But Like, am I only going to go in the years in which the Bucks make the playoffs or win the division? Am I only going to root for them and watch them when they're really good? Or am I always going to root for them? I'm a Pirates fan. Sweet Jesus. I'm used to losses mounting annually. But I'm a Pirates fan. What am I going to not be? I'm going to continue to support. I may never. I was 8 years old when they won the World Series. I may die without ever seeing them win another one. Distinct possibility. I'll be a fan for however many years I have left of that team. You don't get to pick and choose if you're real as a fan or a supporter. You've got to be that thing. Once you've made that decision, for whatever the reason that you came to that decision, you have to be loyal to that. And I get it, even for those teams and their fan bases that I loathe. There's a certain level of respect that you have to have for somebody who is unwavering in their support of their teams. You're actually happy for those people when they do well, when those teams do well, even if you hate those teams. It's why when I was walking out of the stadium against Notre Dame, that I was appalled that this group of Notre Dame fans, I don't know if they were students or not, they were young, yelled at me, my two kids, and my wife about kicking our ass, and I said all this stuff about Florida State and everything. I thought, really? You're gonna actually pick on the Florida State fans who flew to South Bend, your dump of a town, knowing that this ass kicking was coming? Have a little common sense. Those aren't the people you yell at. You don't yell at the loyal badass fans who come to your ass-sorry city to root for their team despite being 26.5-point underdogs. You got to be better than that, dumbass. But most fans are not. A lot of fans are not. These are the moments that make the great moments effing awesome. When you win, when I sat next to you in the national championship game in 2013 in Pasadena, I felt awesome, just like all the rest of the Noles did at the comeback and the win. But honestly, I wanted to cry because I could see your face. And you were part of a lost decade. And I got to see you live that joy. I'd already done it twice. So I got to see you live it. That's the reason we love sports. That's what it's about. You don't get to just decide, well, team's not very good. F them. I'm not going to support them or watch them anymore. What's wrong with you? Why do you even bother? What's the point of being a fan at that point?
Yeah, I agree. It's the lost decade at the time was the pits of modern existence for Florida State football. Now it got worse. The pit went deeper. And this year it's being defined just how deep it goes. Like modern technology lets us know how deep the seas go. And in that moment, when we had close games with UAB and we had a close shave with Troy that my buddy and I could not go to, so we paid for the Sunshine Network pay-per-view on Comcast, which was, I think, $24.95. Not cheap back in the day, $24.95 for a singular game. We had it on the radio, but we had obligations for school and whatever. So we just had it on the radio, and we bought it just in time to see Buster Davis intercept a pass for us to, escape in that situation. Jacksonville State in the rain, Ryan Perilou. I was there for that game.
Oh, buddy.
I was there twice.
I was sitting next to my buddy, Eric Vondage, and we were like, this is really happening?
I went in. We were second, third row behind the visiting bench because that's where my buddy's family season tickets were for decades. We went in to start. It got so heavy that we were getting into trench foot territory. So we went back, dried up, and then had a beer. So we dried up, and then we had a beer. And then we went back for the fourth quarter of the game. Like all of those things, you're right. These are the memories I have as Kermit Whitfield is breaking across the 30 and the 40 in midfield. And I'm thinking about those moments because, wow, it takes your breath away that you've ascended from that level of a valley to the top. Now, then Trey Mason scores, and you think, dear God, this is Georgia Tech on the road all over again. This is Ty Jones clips Christian Ponder inside the 5-yard line at NC State. This is 5 turnovers against Florida, where 4 would have been fine. And 20 minutes of possession time for Florida in the first half of that 2012 game. No problem.
Yeah.
Held it together.
Yeah.
20 out of 30 minutes of possession and 4 turnovers, you're still going to win the football game. But that fifth one, That was a killer. And I'm thinking about the red eye to Philly to get back to Atlanta. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the ultimate lost Decadian loss. And then it wasn't because we won. Yeah, man. All of those things are awesome. The one complicating factor to modern day college athletics that is different than being a Buccaneers fan or a Pirate or a Met or a Tampa Bay Lightning fan is that they're asking you for more than just the price of a ticket. That is where it does get complicated.
No, I'm not saying that the way you react to this as far as your vitriol or pulling of funds temporarily or whatever it might be.
Right.
Isn't a more nuanced discussion.
That's where it gets tougher.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a difference between saying I'm not going to stroke a check for $10,000 this year the way I did last because you guys seem to be mismanaging my money and turning your back on the program entirely. You're not putting on your Florida State gear because they're 1-9. You're not going to go to games. You're not going to support. That's totally different. So I will agree that there is a nuanced and a non-black and white discussion about fandom just when it comes to the money that you're talking about spending on said program.
Right. So that would be where I would just say, define support. Is it sporting your gear? Is it watching on television? Is it, because you live in Miami going to 1 game a year instead of 3? That is where it does become a little bit more difficult.
I don't have a problem with somebody who lives 400 miles, 500 miles away. God forbid, several states away. You get fans that are in California and New York and, in Dallas and all different places where they go, it's not all that easy. Yeah, I get it. You're not flocking to Tallahassee to watch a 1-9 team play. Got it. You're also not denying your support as a Nole. You're not like at that point walking into the office. Oh, I don't know of this Florida State that you speak of. Oh, I think you got it wrong, Ted. I don't know why you think I'm a Nole.
I'm done with them. Right. That kind of
kind of nonsense.
I can remember I'm finding the exact year, 1997, 1998. A little more than a half a decade from the time that our hockey team would be winning and hoisting the Stanley Cup. They won 17 games out of 82. In hockey, that's really hard.
It's very hard to do, yeah.
In basketball, you can see it all the time.
Yeah.
In hockey, it's very hard. You win 17 out of 82 games. 65 times you're coming away with a loss out of 82.
That should be the White Sox this year.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
I know a fan.
121 losses?
I know a few White Sox fans
do too.
that happen to be Noles. This has been a very tough April to November stretch in their sporting lives.
Yeah, and those will be, those will be etched in memory forever, and they will be brought up when they win the World Series or the Noles win another national championship.
Yeah. Yep.
Those are the moments you'll reflect upon, and you'll go, oh, okay, all right. Whence we came. There it is. And you'll appreciate it even more. That's the way you got to look at it. And it definitely sucks when you're going through it. Because the days drag on. They just drag on. I'm living this same effing nightmare I was yesterday. They still suck today, just like they did last week.
You see, you experienced that with the Bucks. I kind of didn't. I grew up in a much more robust
I experienced that with the Bucks, and our mutual friend Mario, who's probably listening right now, knows walking into that stadium, the big sombrero, to watch the laughing stock of the entire NFL. It's why I told you that when we got Leroy Selman, my life changed, because at any given time I could go into that stadium and say, yeah, well, we have the best player on the field, and we never had before. We never had.
Yeah, that hockey team. So the Lightning's low for wins in a season prior to that, the 17 that they had, was 17 in a 48-game season. They scored 151 goals. They averaged less than 2 goals a game. And the next 2 seasons, they had 19 wins and 19 wins, respectively. I guarantee you that Detroit, in one of those seasons, had 55 wins. We had 55 over 3 seasons. So when they did go on the run, 4 years after that third awful season, and they won it all, it's the most wonderful feeling in the world.
Yeah, now
because you embrace the low.
And now you just try to pick which Stanley Cup championship, which cup raising you really want to emphasize in any one moment. It's like that one, the other one. Well, what about the time that we got to the that's true. There was a finals appearance there and there. Okay, yeah.
Well, that's why it's funny. Every time I see it, you see like a screen grab of a fan in the stands at a Cowboys game wearing Cowboys stuff, and on social it says tough week for Lakers and Yankee fans everywhere.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that type of fan doesn't experience the euphoria that is the ride back. But the thing is, it's one thing to say that, and I agree with you, but it's another to make sure that if you are making a decision at the margin, that you're not just burning the money because of blind faith, and you're allowing incompetence.
Also, 100%, Tom. Sorry to interrupt. We've just gone so late, but I will just say this really quickly. There is a difference when an owner is a despicable human being and is embracing sorts of things that leave you appalled. When Marge Schott was the owner of the Reds and voiced support for Hitler, I get it. You're kind of like, I think I'm off the Reds. Until she's out of here, I think I'm off the Reds. So those kinds of things, right? I get it. But we're not talking about the extremes and the obvious, yeah. Tried and True Consulting, good guys, great guys in the community doing good work, saving you money, making you money, giving some of the money they earned back to the Battles Inn to ensure we try not to have seasons like this moving forward. Give them a call today, 844-463-6653. That's 844-I'm4NOL. Inquire about that ad board. They're still doing all that. If you've got a waiting room, a lobby of any sort, say you're a car dealership or a bar or restaurant, they'll install it, put it up for you free. That's how it works, just like that. They'll run it from afar. You get 2/3 of the screen to advertise your specials, whatever you want. It's a really good way to advertise your services and others and to make money along the way. That is Tried and True Consulting. Scan the QR code on your screen and just know those guys are doing good things, and we're happy to be affiliated with them.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a chance of thunderstorms. Daytime highs approaching 78, winds out of the south 8 to 15 miles per hour. Slight chance of rain showers tonight, lows dip down to about 55, partly cloudy skies. Ample sunshine expected tomorrow, high of 72. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 74 degrees.
When I get home from work, I'm ready to relax. So I call Swain Pools and Spas to put my pool in the back. I call Swain Pools and Spas. Now I'm soaking up some fun when I want to.
Truckloads of new and used Caldera and Hot Spring Spas are available now at Swain Pools and Spas. Don't wait. Get to Swain Pools and browse the best inventory to find the spa of your dreams. These won't last long, so come see us today. Just look for the huge sign on Tharp Street or call 386-7113 for Swain Pools and Spas.
I know what you're thinking right now. Where can I find a place to get my car fixed and also check out some awesome new hot tubs and spas while I wait? Well, you're in luck. Because when you bring your car or truck in to get serviced at Tallahassee Car Care, it's under the same roof as Swain Pools and Spas for tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, oil changes, and all the service you need to get back on the road. Choose the certified technicians at Tallahassee Car Care. Drop by our shop on Tharp Street or visit online at TallahasseeCarCare.com.
The best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar. All day, every day, you can find great deals at Café de Martín while enjoying the best outdoor seating Tallahassee has to offer. Sip away on 2-for-1 house wines, chilcanos, and margaritas all day long, Monday through Thursday. Plus 2-for-1 pisco sours and margaritas on Fridays and Saturdays, and 2-for-1 mimosas for Sunday brunch. Come join us at Café de Martín, where every hour is happy hour, in the Esposito Shopping Center on Capitol Circle Northeast.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different breeds, like different kinds.
There's like families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch
or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And
I've never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
So, are you, I said in passing, and somebody brought it up here and was surprised that I wasn't upset about Tremel Jones decommitting. I'm not, maybe that was a little too specific. He's just the latest. I think that is the 6th decommit for Florida State from the 2025 class. I believe that's what that is.
Yeah, the development is you're likely looking at a switcheroo, though, because
you're bringing in a quarterback from Indiana, the Carter Smith kid, right?
Yes, who, if you just want to take the recruiting services for what they are, grain of salt, sure. You don't have a top 300 player in Tremel Jones, and you have a top 200 player in Carter Smith. So if you're just talking about points, fictional points, you are getting a better prospect here. It's not one of those, well, I'm losing a high 4-star to go get a borderline 4-star because ESPN ranked him high. Like, no, this is a top 15 quarterback at the position that Michigan was on. He was committed to Michigan for the better part of a year out of Bishop Verot.
But, of course, Michigan's after the biggest name in recruiting.
That is correct, and that turned him off. He said, all right, peace. So it might be our gain in that situation. It looks very good for that particular player to come here. I do want to see if coaching hires influence maybe some 11th hour movement in the recruiting world.
Well, it's also what you're pointing to now, which I think is what I'm looking towards and why I didn't really get upset about losing a quarterback recruit. A, we were adding one who was more well thought of within the rankings. But B, I turn and look at these things as, oh, so why does Carter Smith want to come here? That's interesting. Who are we talking to and who is he talking to? See, the more you start to hear about kids interested in Florida State, the more you might be able to unravel the mystery of which coordinators are being hired. I'm not saying him specifically. I'm saying that the more kids are saying yes to Florida State, you're going to ask the normal question after a 1-9 season so far. Why? Why is he coming here? That's curious. Wonder who he's talking to.
Well, and that's the thing that, these kids, for as much as they get lambasted for wanting money, they are fielding a lot of questions about why are you still committed to Florida State? Why would you consider Florida State? Hey, what about this school over here? What about these coaches? Hey, who's the replacement coach going to be? Has Mike Norvell told you about who the replacement coach is?
Well, they're going to get a lot of those.
I mean,
they're going to be.
It never ends.
Well, that's going to happen. There's no getting around that. I mean, if you're a kid right now thinking about going to Florida State, A, you're going to want to know who those coaches are.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And then B, you're going to get asked about it. And one of them is going to slip up. And we will learn from a kid who the next coordinator at this position is or that position or that segment group. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, we had a running back commit say that he was warned the changes were coming. He wasn't told who, but he...
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Final hour, forthcoming. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Wooden Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Wooden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Wooden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Wooden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at woodenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
Know your body and transform your life with DexaFit Tallahassee, your go-to for science-backed health insights. Their DEXA scan gives you the most accurate body composition available, measuring bone density, muscle mass, and both subcutaneous and visceral fat. Get the data you need to track progress and make real changes. Your VO2 max is the best indicator of health and longevity, but it offers more than just a number. It shows respiratory function, calories burned at different intensities, and whether your body burns fat or carbs, helping you train smarter. DexaFit's RMR test reveals how many calories you burn at rest and the type of fuel your body uses, so you can dial in your diet for weight loss, muscle gain, or maintenance. And their red light therapy soothes sore muscles, reduces inflammation, and rejuvenates your skin. Right now, get a DEXA scan and red light therapy for just $99.
As I want to do, I look out for your comfort, everybody. You know that, and I've told you for weeks that the cure to what ails you is over at Manscaped. Manscaped.com, promo code WARCHANT, of course. But you need the salve so the boys are comfortable. Listen, being comfortable is a year-round endeavor. It's not just when it's hot outside. It's not just when there's the potential for rash or chafing, as they like to say. No, it's year-round. Get you the underwear. Get you the salve. Get you the balm. Get you the cream. Get you the nose hair clippers. Get you everything you need to trim and keep proper. There's the crop preserver. There's the stuff that helps you out with every part of your body, not just down there. Go to manscaped.com right now, and if you use the promo code WARCHANT, you'll get 20% off. You really can't beat that. I'm saving you a ton of money. Promo code is WARCHANT for 20% off. Plus, by the way, fellas, free shipping to boot. So there's no reason not to go and check it out and find out how it is that you can look right and feel great year-round, no matter what. Every day you leave that house, you say, I'm buttoned up. The boys are comfortable. I'm ready to go. Manscaped.com, promo code WARCHANT, 20% off plus free shipping. Can't beat it.
Everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas. Brought to you by Palmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
College basketball coming up today. The Florida State Seminoles at the Tucker Center laying 17 against Tarleton State. The total 150. Florida Atlantic plus 5.5.
You know, one of the good things about actually eating Factor at my house, the Cameron household, me, my kids, my wife, we order Factor long before they ever came on here to be a sponsor of the pod or the show. But I was reading the copy, and they say to you, it's just a suggestion. You know, you can look at it a lot of different ways. But this one leads with sweater weather pairs perfectly with savory fall foods. And I thought that's true. It does. It's not what I'm going to talk about, but that's a great comforting way to think about Factor. It's beautiful. Here's the other thing to think about Factor is that the food is delicious, prepared by chefs, and it's healthy. And it comes right to your doorstep, and you're busy. You don't have time to cook all these different delicious meals. Either do I. That's why I get 12 of them shipped to my house. Now, you can have more than that. I do 12. Brought to your doorstep, pulled from the box that they come in, frozen ice. You put that sucker right, frozen ice, listen to me. Put them in the fridge, you're good to go. Kids just pull them out. 2 minutes later, you're eating a delicious meal. And it's any kind of diet, too. It could be keto. It could be just calorie-friendly, whatever it might be. You could be a vegetarian, pescatarian. Doesn't really matter. Factor has delicious meals for you and yours, no matter the lifestyle or the food choices. Head to factormeals.com/Cameron50. Use code Cameron50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code Cameron50 at factormeals.com/Cameron50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month.
Long game.
You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. As we roll into the holiday season, Kraft Nissan is making it easy for you to get into a new car before next year. Let's start with this. Buy any new or used car in our lot, and you won't pay till Valentine's Day. And like always, we asked Nissan to extend our finance offers, and they did. So this month, you can still get 0% interest for 60 months on Nissan Titan trucks. Need more reasons? How about 8,000 reasons? Yes, you can get up to $8,000 off on your purchase of a new Titan truck. And it keeps coming. Last year, Motor Trend voted Rogue the #1 new compact SUV in America. And this month, we have 0% interest on Rogue's Platinum trim level. And when Cars.com listed the best used cars on the market, they liked the Nissan Rogue in the compact SUV category. And in the midsize SUV category, it was the Nissan Murano. You see, new or used, car, truck, or SUV, come to Craft Nissan and discover why Tallahassee is a Nissan town. Craft Nissan on Mahan Drive in Tallahassee.
Barman, you look so twisted. What did you do now?
Well, Hank the alligator needed his teeth brushed, and when I bent over to give him a scrub, my back popped like an afternoon lightning storm in Florida. And now I can't even stand up.
You need to go to FinChiro.com and schedule your new patient appointment right away at FinChiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com.
I'm really busy. I don't want to leave Hank in the orange grove unattended for too long.
Fin Chiropractic will get you in right away, and they get to the cause of your problems. So go to FinChiro.com and make your new patient appointment. There is even an online discount.
Discount? That's a good thing because my purse is a little light since I bought Hank a new gold chain.
You have to take care of yourself if you want to be able to take care of your alligator Hank. Make your appointment now. Go to FinChiro.com.
Well, hold my pina colada. I'm going to FinChiro.com.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're brushing your teeth. And you're brushing your teeth. And how long do you brush your teeth? I've been told by my wife I don't brush them long enough. She is very buttoned up, Tom, about the teeth brushing. Got to be whatever the dentist says, 2 minutes, a minute and a half, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, I believe it. The old adage is that it's wash your hands for the length of Happy Birthday song and brush your teeth for the national anthem. And that's your go-to.
Yeah. I think it's an inexact science. I brush them until they feel clean.
Well,
sometimes it's longer than others.
Do we want the Christina Aguilera national anthem, the Whitney Houston national anthem?
I want a military band.
Okay. That's usually faster.
It's the better version. It should always be that quick. It doesn't need to be an hour long. Let's go. Let's get to football to be played. So anyhow, the point is that's how I brush them.
Let's go so we can get back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Great name for a book. Yes. So are you going to play, and I think you should, the audio from the athletic director yesterday? Because before you do, here's the backdrop. Here's the backdrop, and it's kind of fun. This from Ross Dollinger's column on Yahoo Sports. In a way, college athletics this week enters the next phase of its evolution into a more professionalized entity. Signing athletes not to national letters of intent, but to name, image, and likeness agreements that guarantee compensation directly from school to player. The agreements, such as the 7-page NIL contracts from Arizona to its prospects, are contingent on the House settlement's final approval in April and its full implementation at the start of the 2025-2026 academic year on July the 1st. Despite the caveats, these contracts are historic in nature. They kick off what is expected to be a messy transition period that will dramatically change how athletes are paid, from boosters and booster collective groups to the schools themselves. However, uncertainty looms. Athletes are expected to sign agreements with both NIL collectives and the schools under a promise of compensation as part of a settlement that has not yet been formally approved. Many coaches are building rosters without knowing their revenue share amounts and, in some cases, their scholarship allotment and roster spots. In the meantime, collectives are planning to front-load deals with athletes as a way to create more dollars for their affiliated schools next year in the settlement-related revenue share pool. And lingering over this are all unanswered questions about the new enforcement entity and clearinghouse charged with policing booster compensation that athletes now receive. You can hit it. Here is Michael Alford.
There's also going to be a form of payment to athletes based on your media value. And that's going to be a negotiation that we're going to be having with our student athletes coming in. You're going to sign them on a 1, 2, or 3 year agreement. They'll sign a grant and aid, but there'll also be a media value agreement associated with that negotiation, much like you see in the pros. Contracts very similar. I will tell you that for the SO conferences, I only deal with the ACC, but we have a template that we're all going to be utilizing. Now we can put due to Florida law and some other things that we're going to add into that template, but we're going to start that this December of sitting down with our student athletes and moving forward with that. That basically takes your NIL in-house into that cap, and everybody is subject to the cap. The NCAA will no longer be enforcing the cap. We're setting up a very strict enforcement agency that if you go over your cap, there will be penalties. So I'm getting way down the road, but yes, that is something that is being set up.
Okay, so that's interesting on a lot of levels. I mean, we're all going to be very curious as to what those penalties are and whether they're enforceable and who's going to enforce them and how it's going to be policed and who's in charge of policing if the NCAA is not. In fact, quote, Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bork, even though there's a lot of work being done as of now, it's clear as mud. We are building the plane as we fly it. We're almost ready to land it, and we're still building it. So this is going to start with the Olympic sports in basketball, right? So basketball and Olympic sports signing period as a trial run before next month's early signing period of football is sort of the goal here. And there are templates that have been designed and drafted. Arizona is an example from Dellinger's story. Draft templates of NIL contracts for athletes. The schools are not required to use them. The drafts in some cases are lengthy, up to 27 pages long, which means if you're a player, you better have legal representation.
Which they do now in mass compared to 2-3 years ago in this industry when it was just, hey, here's my dad. Here's what we think. You know, they're retaining major agencies now. These players are. The business is too big for there not to be people with pedigree involving themselves in the process.
Some schools plan to include player buyouts as part of multi-year deals, while others are using single-year contracts, administrators tell Yahoo Sports. Some universities are relying upon their collectives to sign players to short-term deals and either expire at the onset of school revenue sharing, which is scheduled to be July 1st, or include a clause that assigns the contract to the school once revenue sharing is permitted. All very interesting. By the way, Michael Alford, who you just heard from there, was quoted in this story as he half-jokingly suggested that schools are offering athletes IOUs because of the uncertain future. After all, a final approval hearing of the House settlement is not scheduled until April the 7th.
Right. Now, that would be interesting because that is in direct opposition to the idea that collectives can front-load deals until the House kicks in. It's almost like, hey, get it in while you can. Like, that's what the article says is happening. But, man, I don't know how many collectives around the country have that type of liquid cash to just say, okay, on December 4th, National Early Signing Period begins, and you will have in your account a lump sum to the tune of, I mean, I just
they're
don't know.
betting on they're betting on that agreement, the House settlement of being $20 million or $20.5 million or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, the university's not going to do that. I don't think the collectives do that. I believe this is a structured deal. So if you hear whispers about, X player yielding $800,000, $900,000 a year, I don't think they were given a signing bonus of $500,000 and then they're brokering it out. I think that's all. You have to have income to have outflow, so I don't know that many NIL collectives are just going to back up the Brinks truck because they know that relief is coming from the university. Also, I hear, Alford talking about that third-party organization that's going to be, levying penalties and fines. That's going to be a very difficult thing to pull off because Ross Dellinger in his articles often, because he's written about 9 of these on what's coming, details haven't been finalized on how the third party entity is going to exist and what the penalties are going to be.
Correct.
Yeah, man, because they're going to hit the courts again on that.
Yeah, but I do like us to get started going down that path now, sooner rather than later. Let's go. Let's get to it. We all know where this is headed. Let's go.
I agree. I think that, and it's not Alfred's issue. Every athletic director has to do this now. They're presenting it as, here it is.
Oh, we've got it.
Clean, simple, plain. It's just like the pros, except it's us. Man, no. You don't have a CBA.
Well, again, I've talked about this. There's an organization that already does this, and they do it better than you. The NFL.
This is why I believe that they should be running, and by they I mean everybody in this game, towards unionization. They were so scared of it. We're already here. The thing that could protect the university the most, and the cap, the integrity of the cap, because who's to say you spend 20.5 and Texas isn't like, well, we got an extra 9 lying around. So let's make sure we pad the investment here. Nothing can stop them right now.
Well, that's the exact same sort of questions that were being asked of the mega rich schools during the old scholarship days. I mean, the handshakes and all the other extras if you had a scholarship to play football at name your school.
Well, and if you get to CBA level stuff, then you can tie whatever the cap is going to be to the revenues. This is where standardization of big-time college sports television contracts would be very helpful. That one conference doesn't have one thing, another conference, another number. Because the 20.5, according to Alfred yesterday in the booster meeting, they're pulling that from kind of an average across the different conferences. So if I'm part of the B1G or the SEC, I'm saying, that's it? 20.5?
Yeah.
Why not go
That's in
35?
my back pocket, baby.
Let's go 35. Yeah. Let's go 40. We've got the money. Sorry that y'all don't, but we do. So why are you holding us back?
To your point, same article, giving credit where credit's due to Dellinger, college officials have pushed back against athlete employment. These new contracts, revenue-sharing concepts only make the legal argument for employment stronger. All of this is creating a paper trail that will make employment a reality, says Cavalli. Now, that is, not surprising to hear from people who, by the way, Jim Cavalli is the founder of College Sports Players Association. It's called athletes.org. And he believes the method in which schools are using to sign athletes isn't the right one. He says the NIL rev share contracts as a pay-for-play deal that schools and conferences have created without input from athletes is not the right one to use. How to also distribute the revenue among sports is one of the top questions that everybody's been asking all along. School officials grappling with that too. That, according to Blake Lawrence, the CEO of Open Doors, a platform used by dozens of schools and collectives. But I would say that in totality, this is all becoming a little bit more clear. We don't know exactly how it's all going to get done, and certain specifics are lacking in certain areas, but we now know inexorably this is where it's moving.
Let's just say that you were an athletic program that valued baseball, soccer, and softball above everything else, because you know that you can't compete at football. It's your geographical footprint, the tradition of your
too
program,
small, your Wake Forest,
whatever it is. Right. This is where there are so many more lawsuits coming after this, because what you're saying is they're having a hard time affixing how much money should be spent per sport. And right now the rule is you can spend the 20 and a half.
Anywhere you want.
Anywhere you want.
They're going to, most schools are going to go, yeah, it's going to go to football.
Let's call the institution Vandy. I might be kind of close there, at least on the baseball side. Let's say I'm a football player at Vandy and they're only spending $8 million out of the 20 on football.
Well, you got legal battles under Title IX. This is where that's going.
Well, yes, the Title IX stuff is one thing, but the other part is nobody wants to talk about this with Title IX. TV ratings and revenue. Nobody wants to talk about the disproportionate level that are watching certain sports versus others. Now, women's basketball is climbing up through the ranks. They just had a wildly successful year in terms of ratings relative to the PGA Tour that weekend, relative to the NBA the same weekend. Women's college basketball.
For certain games, that's true.
Yes, as it got closer to the championship. But, hey, it's a dent that never existed before.
That is, it's worth noting, yes.
But what I'm going to tell you is if I'm at Vandy and my football program is only getting 40% of the $20 million and they're bringing in 80% of the revenue, I'm suing. How is it that our football program that is bringing in the money is not getting equitable distribution of said money?
Yeah, if schools distribute 90% of their dollars to football and basketball,
right?
Let's say, right, and then you have 1 to 2 million for all the other sports.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I bring up the Title IX stuff. They're going to be like, yo, man.
Right.
That's an imbalance that's going to lead to legal challenges.
That's one way of legally challenging it. The other way is to say, yeah, and what money does your sport bring in? I'm sorry, this Olympic sport brings us $5.
Well, that's the retort. Volleyball, golf, gymnastics, you name it. Track.
Right. And that's men's
there
and
you go,
women's.
Mario, that was for you.
That's men's and women's.
That's where we're at. But there has been a thought for a long time that the sports that were not the revenue generators, such as football, baseball, basketball, baseball, however you want to work, were going to go club. They were all going to go club at some point.
I think you're getting closer to that end because what they're doing, if you're watching the hand that you're not supposed to be watching of the magician, right? The sleight of hand trick is that they're increasing scholarships for these other sports. So baseball won't be 13 point whatever.
Right, 35.
It's 35 if you want it. If you
want it, yeah.
But now you're almost setting the stage that you can reclassify those sports and say, well, look, we just went up and tripled our schollies or more than doubled our schollies. So what do you want? There's compensation right there. But when we're talking about name, image, and likeness compensation on the $20.5 million that we're bringing in, I'm sorry. Baseball might be important to a small part of the country, but at Georgia, football is going to get the money. Our baseball program's made nice improvements, but that's not bringing in our TV revenue. It's not bringing in the money that we're garnering as an athletic department. Football is. So we're going to give $18.5 million of our 20.5 to football.
This is kind of fun, and this will be the final thing I take from this. We just wanted to take a cursory glance at all of this, given Alfred's meeting and video conference yesterday. Jason Belzer, I quote again from the story, has an idea for administrators to solve the rev sharing spending issue. Don't spend so much on football, he says. That's the biggest mistake that ADs are going to make, fully funding a sport without having the infrastructure to decide how best to deploy their dollars. Just going in and saying, I'm going to fully fund the sport is not going to work. Plenty of schools have spent tens of millions this year, and they're going to have sub 500 records. That's how GMs get judged in the NFL and the NBA. That's how ADs are going to be judged. Belzer's with an organization called Student Athlete NIL, co-founder of SANIL.
Yeah, so you're going to have a cap, and it's going to bring some of this stuff in-house. It'll be interesting to see how collectives still ask for money and what their roles are. I think there's an oversimplification, too, on the booster call. We have that audio, too. I forget which clip it is, but Michael Alford last night speaking to the booster community saying that the Battle's End would become a marketing entity. Like they would be the bridge between a player and a national firm, like the Powerade deal that Patrick Payton got. Like they would be actually the ones that are negotiating on behalf of the player. I don't know that Tennessee, Georgia, Florida State, Oregon collectives are so quickly turning into that. By what, next month?
Oh, certainly not by next month. No, I don't think so.
I think there still will be a spot for all these collectives to continue to conduct business until well after the congressional settlement.
Oh, it's murky, and there's a ton still to go through. I would strongly encourage everybody to read that article. There's more that I'm not touching on here. Then, again, it's just a cursory glance at all of this that's being discussed behind the scenes of our favorite sport. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. We'll gloss back over those picks for Redemption Thursday in a moment.
I have a large family on a tight budget, and we're always looking for ways to save money. Thanks to a free energy audit by the City of Tallahassee Utilities, we found ways to reduce our water and electric usage at home. It was easy to schedule the appointment, and the energy auditor was very knowledgeable. If you want to see savings on your City of Tallahassee Utilities bill, start with a free energy audit. Call 850-891-4968 or visiting talgov.com/YOU to schedule your appointment.
Floridians, do you know how close you are to freshness? It's not a plane or a ship ride away. It's not across an ocean or over the equator. It's not even a far drive. The peak of freshness is at your grocery store, and it's called Fresh from Florida. Fresh from Florida is local produce grown by farmers right here in our own state, meaning it's always fresh, always in season, and always mouth-wateringly good. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo or ask for it by name where you shop.
When I get home from work, I'm ready to relax. So I call Swain Pools and Spas to put my pool in the back. I call Swain Pools and Spas. Now I'm soaking up some fun when I want to.
Truckloads of new and used Caldera and Hot Spring Spas are available now at Swain Pools and Spas. Don't wait. Get to Swain Pools and browse the best inventory to find the spa of your dreams. These won't last long, so come see us today. Just look for the huge sign on Tharp Street or call 386-7113 for Swain Pools and Spas.
I know what you're thinking right now. Where can I find a place to get my car fixed and also check out some awesome new hot tubs and spas while I wait? Well, you're in luck. Because when you bring your car or truck in to get serviced at Tallahassee Car Care, it's under the same roof as Swain Pools and Spas for tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, oil changes, and all the service you need to get back on the road. Choose the certified technicians at Tallahassee Car Care. Drop by our shop on Tharp Street or visit online at TallahasseeCarCare.com.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. As we roll into the holiday season, Kraft Nissan is making it easy for you to get into a new car before next year. Let's start with this. Buy any new or used car in our lot, and you won't pay till Valentine's Day. And like always, we asked Nissan to extend our finance offers, and they did. So this month, you can still get 0% interest for 60 months on Nissan Titan trucks. Need more reasons? How about 8,000 reasons? Yes, you can get up to $8,000 off on your purchase of a new Titan truck. And it keeps coming. Last year, Motor Trend voted Rogue the #1 new compact SUV in America. And this month, we have 0% interest on Rogue's Platinum trim level. And when Cars.com listed the best used cars on the market, they liked the Nissan Rogue in the compact SUV category. And in the midsize SUV category, it was the Nissan Murano. You see, new or used, car, truck, or SUV, come to Kraft Nissan and discover why Tallahassee is a Nissan town. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive in Tallahassee.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
You know, by the way, I think, Tom, just because we're so mired in our own mess right here, and there's a whole hell of a lot of messy things happening at the University of Florida. Good Lord. You saw the headline from USA Today, who will save Florida athletics? If that were written about us, we'd certainly be aware of it, but it should be pointed out, yeah.
Is it Christine Brennan?
No, Blake Topmeyer. His quote-unquote key points, which I won't get to all of, but yeah, here you go.
That is the co-anchor of the 5 o'clock news, and he's gunning for the 11 p.m.
Once a gold standard for college athletics success, Florida's front porch became an eyesore. The woes go beyond Billy Napier. Who's going to fix this mess? Florida's retention of Napier speaks more to the Gators' lack of leadership than any sign of football momentum. And the Title IX complaint against their basketball coach is just the latest saga for Florida athletic department that's in retreat. It's enjoyable.
Imagine if they caught whispers of the baseball stuff. Wouldn't that be something?
Well, I think they know about the baseball stuff. Oh man. You think there's people in Gainesville like there was a time. It wasn't that long ago. Jeremy Foley was his name. Now we got Scott Strickland. This dumbass. Oh, how I miss Foley.
Right. We have Billy Donovan.
Hired by Foley.
And I didn't always agree with what Urban Meyer did and chose to do, but certainly did win a lot of football games.
By the way, it should be pointed out, and I know you're going to use it against me later on, that even though Foley's subsequent hires have failed to live up to what happened with Urban and everything else, Donovan left, and that hurt us. That hurt us bad, and he hired him too. But this Strickland character's killing us. Front page news, what kind of a-holes we are down here in Gainesville. Just a sample conversation at the bagel shop.
Right. To which Darlene just got hired to and said, oh, my God, this is the same job I had in Tuscaloosa.
All right, so I mentioned the Redemption Thursday wagers. If you would, let's do them. The wagers. Texas minus 13.5 against Arkansas. I don't believe in you, Woo Pig Suey. I think Tejas going to roll down there and whoop that ass. And I'll lay the 13.5 because it's less than 14.
You're probably right, Big Suey.
Georgia minus 9.5 against Tennessee. I'm picking this is the good Georgia. This is the good Georgia showing up this week. Pay me, Martha. This is the good Georgia. Not the speed racing 3 a.m. ignoring the law, Georgia. Don't show up on a Saturday, have my quarterback throw 4 picks inexplicably, Georgia. This is the one that rolled into Texas and beat their ass in Austin. This is that Georgia showing up this weekend, going to hammer it to the Vols. That's right. Then the rest is in the NFL because I didn't like the slate. David Montgomery, good player. Going to rush for over 63.5 yards. I make a lot of money on the Lions. It's what I'm saying to you on a regular basis. But I will take Jacksonville plus 13.5 because the spread's too big. I may regret that. 49ers team total over 28.5. Brock Purdy over 254.5. I think that team's about to take off. They're getting healthy. They're getting people back. They survived the Bucs. I think it starts to get better. Cedric Tillman, over 56.5 yards receiving. Sling the rock, Jameis. Revenge game against the Saints.
Weaponized faith. That's my guess for what he's going to say before this game this weekend.
Yeah, probably. He's only going to lament that when they win, he doesn't get to shake Dennis Allen's hand, who they fired, who apparently everybody hates and hated. Lions over 29.5. I meant to put that towards the top, but I was hurried. Now, you can pick a number lower, but the odds aren't as good. I had multiple choices with this wager, and I raised it 29.5, which is below 30. I think they're going to score more than 30, so I did that.
Man, oh, man. So you got Jacksonville dropping 17, 20 points in this game.
17-ish.
30-17.
There it is.
That's what you're playing.
There it is. Going to cover by that half point. It's a big boys game we're playing out here in the NFL, Tom Lane.
They call that double hooks. 2 wins by the hook.
Teaser pleaser. Haven't been doing many of these lately. There's fool's errand, but I am going to go ahead and go on, said Aaron. And there he is. There's the man with a big draw from that cigarette. It's a weighty draw, by the way. Every time I see it, I'm like, good Lord, man. Put them all together. I got the 49ers down to a hook. The Texans minus 2.5. Got that down. And the Bengals plus 7.5. All together, you tease that around and you get a plus 143 for your bang. That's what you get. A little plus 143. All right. I like it. I like it. There it is. Do you see anything you want to wager against me with?
No. No, I don't have enough information on a lot of these player totals. I don't feel good about doing those things blindly.
Well, no, you ought not do that.
Last week's George Kittle pick was on the money, as I agreed with you immediately when I saw that.
Barely, though. We barely got it, I think. If I'm not mistaken, what was it, 57.5? He had 57, it was 55.5 or something like that?
I think... I have to go back and take a look at the exact number, but I think it was close until the touchdown.
Yes.
But then the touchdown pushed him way over the top.
I just remember I was like, what are we doing here, guys? This ought to be a Kittle kind of day. Turned out to be, and that was fine, but I was we had a rough week last week. We'll add it up, get it to you later, but it was a rough week last week. Many of these player totals, man, damn it, man.
Still over 500 for the season.
Yeah, we're still over 500, but we're barely hanging on here. We got to have a big week. Here.
So you turn to the league. All right.
These days, man, it's been happening. Oh, man, I just saw somebody tweeted out Preds versus Oilers. It's the Diddy Bowl. How good is that? That is well done. Well played. Well played. Preds versus Oilers. It's the Diddy Bowl. They got me. I saw it pop up. I was looking at certain numbers, and then that came up, and I was like, oh, that's a good one, guys. Well done. Did you see, and this was my kind of game. Did you see that Duke had a problem the other night in their game with cramps? Basketball?
I saw the headline for it. Yeah, that Shire was concerned about the constant cramping that's going on.
Yeah, he was frustrated. He was very, very frustrated with all the cramping that occurred in that game. He lost, in the course of the game, 3 players to cramps, and they had a previous game where they were frustrated by cramping. And he said, we got to get it together. This has to stop. I'm talking to the trainers tonight after this game. We got to be better by our players. This amount of cramping ain't going to get it done. And I got to tell you, I read that article solely because it was near and dear to my heart. Post 45 years of age, I'll cramp for no reason. And I'm not talking about the kind of cramps that you could make fun of me for. I'm talking about cramps in my calves and in my hamstrings all the time. To the point where I thought, man, are you like pre-diabetic? Get it together. And I got checked out and all my numbers are great. And the doctor said, no, you're fine. All of that's, you're good. You're good. I don't know why you're cramping. Drink less coffee. I'm like, I am drinking less coffee. I'm drinking less coffee than where's the coffee, Tom? You know, how long did we do shows together? Where you would look over and I was pounding coffee and 5-hour energy at the same time?
Yeah, and then you're topping off 6, tall boys of Two-Hearted later in the evening.
No,
sorry, not tall boys.
Yeah.
Three
Like,
bottles.
come on, what are we
bottles.
doing here? You're getting excessive now.
3 bottles. No, what I'm saying is
I'd have 3 bottles of beer at night, occasionally watching a game.
Right.
You think it's not like I'm out here pounding tall boys at Two-Hearted ales?
Sorry, forgive me.
Yes.
But it was the dehydration plan. You were on the anti-water plan. Even though you
love
drink water,
I drink plenty of water.
You're chasing. It's like a Pac-12 bet.
Yeah.
From back in the day.
Yeah.
You're chasing.
But I stopped doing that. I have minimal amounts of beers during the week. Not that I don't have any, but minimal amounts compared to the older version of me.
Right.
And
yeah, there were usually around this time on the calendar for a good 7-8 year run. You're like, man, this heavy season's ridiculous.
Oh, the heavy season was killing me. I've leveled off. I've evened out. I still want to drop 10 LBs. I want to go from 224 to 214, 212-ish. That's what I want to get to.
212.
I feel like 212 is a good way for me. 210, 212, somewhere there's a good way for me. 224 is a bit much. But anyhow, point would be, I wasn't turning this into a referendum on that. I was saying that I've slowed down my coffee intake because I love coffee. I could drink coffee all the time. It doesn't keep me up. That's the problem with me. Some people drink coffee. It keeps them up at night. Not this guy.
Yeah.
I could drink a cup of coffee at 9 p.m., just enjoy the cup of coffee, go to bed 30 minutes later and be knocked out. But now I don't do that anymore. I'm chilling. I have my coffee in the morning first thing, early as hell, after I walk my dogs.
Yeah.
It's not the first thing I drink in the morning anymore. Now I drink this massive thing of water every morning with my LMNT.
And you're still cramping?
Still cramping. Still getting the cramps in my calves. Every time I work out, if I go really hard, cramping.
Have you ever gotten a cramp after yelling? You ever had that happen?
In your jaw?
No. I've gotten a hamstring cramp.
While you're yelling?
While yelling once. Yeah, it happened in the executive suite years ago.
But you were cheering and you got cramped up.
I go, ooh. And it wasn't like one that happens when you wake up in the middle of the night that brings you to your knees. It was the warning cramp. It was like, hey, you've been sitting in that high top chair.
Get it together, pal.
Do you remember the high top chairs in the executive suite?
Oh, I do.
It's because I would sit there.
I remember the Vista very well.
And I would compress the hamstring over the course of the first half, and I would yell about a foul or a non-foul call. And then the hamstring would warn me that, hey, man, this is not the time. You're not in the position to do this.
I get cramps if I turn the wrong way in the middle of the night 3 a.m. I turn like, season up, ass cheek cramp for no reason.
No.
Upper hamstring, lower ass cheek
no.
cramp. I grab my wife, rub my ass. She's like, good God, I was sleeping. It's 3:30. Quick.
2 hours, 32 minutes and 10 seconds. I'm keeping that one.
I'm just saying, like, I have cramp eating. I've tried everything. Pickle juice.
If we beat Florida for somehow.
Just play that
Rub
on,
my ass.
you know.
Rub my ass.
You'll have it on a loop. My calves cramp up. I'm like so if I go on a 3 or 4 mile walk with the dogs, like I'm really getting their energy out.
Yeah.
I try to run uphill at the end. Man, as soon as we get to the drive, I go, oh, a little cramp in the right calf. It's crazy.
Do you start your day with stretches?
No, and I'm going to have to start. This is ridiculous.
You're at that
The
age.
things you have to do just to walk around the earth. It's ridiculous. Just to be.
I'm telling you,
It's the dumbest damn thing in the world.
I'm getting to that age too. Weird stuff. Sometimes guided meditation's not the worst thing.
I'm going to the mailbox. I better stretch the glutes. This is getting ridiculous.
I'm up for the day. Before I begin my day, it's time to get in there. Little sun drop stretch.
I'm picturing you waking up, getting out of bed, and going into the sun drop.
I'm not at that age yet. Thankfully, I'm not at that age yet.
Well, I might as well be, clearly. I mean, clearly I am at the place where because I can't avoid them. I get a cramp every other day.
I will tell you, before 3 Florida State football games this year.
You did some stretching?
No.
You were getting ready to watch this lose by 40. You thought you better limber up?
I did guided meditation.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's different than stretching.
No, but
you get peace of mind. That's peace of mind.
Because I was going to watch our game.
Yes. That's fair.
This is going to be stressful because it goes straight from game to post game. I'm like, before we start this 6-hour process, I'm going to get a little guided meditation so I can get some Zen going.
I do guided meditation before I bet thousands of dollars on sports. That way I can watch it without flipping out. I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's do this thing.
Things are wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I'm down by 7 with 2 to play. They're not so wonderful. We need this score. We're on the 22. Let's go, Zen. Let's get it together here. Let's make it happen.
Listen to the sounds of the wind.
You could have done that meditation after Tennessee's 2 fourth-down conversions against Florida a few years back. You would have needed to do that.
Oh, dear. 95 yards.
It still makes me laugh because I was watching it knowing you had money on it going, ooh.
Well, Norvell got me too. Son of a gun. He got me when they played Wake in their bowl game years ago at Memphis.
Oh, Memphis, that game with the field goals at the end.
Because the kid kicked it 3 times.
Yeah, and the timeouts kept
might have been
called.
4.
It was 3. There was 2 timeouts. The first 2 he made, both of them.
Good, no good.
Well,
Or no good, no good, good. Whatever it was.
No, it was reversed. You had it right the first time. It was good, no good. And my favorite part about it was I had the other side of the bet. I won the bet. I wasn't going to gloat because I knew you were hurting.
Yeah.
But the point was, when he called the timeout, it was right down the pipe. Then he called the timeout again. It was right down the middle. When he lined up that third time, I said to Christy, there's no chance he makes this the third time. You knew he wasn't going to make it.
I distinctly remember, I believe McDonough was on the call for that too. Oh, it's another timeout. And he missed it.
Yeah,
I didn't watch the third one. I didn't
because
watch
you
it.
knew it wasn't
I
going
knew.
in. You knew.
And the only good thing about it, still, I remember that one, but it broke a streak. In that bowl season, I started 6-0. And it should have been 7-0.
No, but
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Well, that's good coaching there, unlike what we've seen this year.
You owe me $20, pal.
Yeah, go ahead, bring that up. See what he says.
He'll say, get in line. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah. And he does now. That was just a bet. Now we're 1-9. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas have everything you need for pool maintenance. Chemicals, cleaners, pumps, vacuums, nets, covers, you name it, they got it. And, oh, by the way, they'll come get your old, dilapidated, sorry hot tub that you've been waiting for somebody to extricate from your home, and now they'll get it, and they'll give you money for it, and they'll haul it away, and they'll say, get you a new one. Come inside and get the Pentagon. Get you the 5-seater, everybody. They make it easy. Go check them out. Having an amazing hot tub is within your reach. Check out the Greer Street Road, big old warehouse thingy. It's amazing. You walk in, you're like, holy moly.
Could help you with your cramps.
I don't think it would. I'd probably further dehydrate me.
A little heat therapy.
I don't know, man. I got to figure it out. My dad's complained a lot about aging. Other people I know that are older than me, a lot older than me, complain about aspects of aging. Nobody brings up the cramps. Nobody warned me about the cramps. Cramping for no reason. It all started really about 8 years ago when I pulled my hamstring sprinting into the ocean, making an incredible catch of a Frisbee. I was led too far by my nephew, but I made that play. Permanently injured myself, and now here we are. Pitch Pity Pools and Spas. If you're ready to relax, they're ready to show you how. Go check them out off of Greer Street.
Your local weather forecast with Danielle Kelly.
A cool down ahead toward the end of the week and sunshine returns. Highs dropping to the lower 70s with lows in the 50s and 40s thanks to a front. Tonight, a 20% chance of rain, low of 55. Friday, sunny with a high of 74, low of 47. Beautiful weekend ahead full of sunshine with highs near 75. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
There is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude,
No.
I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No. I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Ordos, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Dream it, plan it, do it. Brian Barnard's Flooring America offers a straightforward way to shop with our streamlined shopping. Finding the right flooring is simple. Visit our newly remodeled showroom featuring the Room to Explore shopping experience, where our knowledgeable staff will walk you through the steps. Our family has been serving the area since 1976 with a local staff of more than 35 people trained in flooring sales and design. We know floors and we know styles. Let us help make your home timeless. Brian Barnard's Flooring America, where friends send friends.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Do you have a special needs child or an older adult in your home? The risk of them leaving the house unnoticed is real and terrifying, but you can protect your loved ones with Vivint Home Security. Right now, Vivint is offering a free doorbell camera with any new plan, plus free installation and low monthly monitoring plans. Call 800-953-6693. That's 800-953-6693. Monthly service agreement required for free installation.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Talked a while back about Diamond Sports Group with the whole Bally situation, and they have filed for bankruptcy. You've got some teams, some organizations in various sports, baseball, the NBA, NHL, and others in their portfolio who no longer have a network and how it's affecting their ability to compete. In certain cases, the Twins in particular, for example, were at a huge deficit this past year. And now this is still in court. There's a critical hearing before the U.S. Bankruptcy Court that started today. And they're trying to confirm a reorganization plan. Now, listen, baseball and the other sports don't want them to be allowed back into the mix. They like, nope, this is a failure. We don't want, because they want them under their umbrella.
Of course they do.
Umbrella, right. And their CEO and others are saying, hey, look, we've gotten reorganized. We think we have a plan here. We should be able to retain some of these things. It's a slimmed down streaming service that we want to run now. Okay, so here's the deal. FanDuel Sports Network, COO and direct to consumer, is this is what they're talking about doing now. They've been busy. They've been striking deals with the Cardinals of Major League Baseball, for example, and they're reworking certain agreements with the Angels as well as the Marlins, and they're trying to expand viewing options. They recently got a deal done with Amazon. DSG announced yesterday a multi-year distribution agreement with Amazon that will make FanDuel Sports Network content available through the online retail and streaming giant. So, further step of being in bed with the big-time gambling.
Yeah, for an extra cost, though, I would imagine. You know,
There
if
you
you
go. I'll give you the specifics here. Individual RSNs will be available through Amazon Prime Video as an add-on subscription for customers living within each team's designated geographic area.
Yeah. So what they're doing is they want to slash and burn their tech support staff. They don't want to spend money on the streaming service. They just want to outsource it. That's what that sounds like to me.
Right.
So they're saying the way we can cut costs down is we don't have to deliver our own Bally Sports, FanDuel Sports. You've seen the logo change if you have it on your phone. Streaming app. We could just say, all right, Prime, you take it for the low rate of whatever they're getting.
I'll say this, if we can get rid of the stupid blackouts for games that are 700 miles from where I live, that'd be great. I'll pay the extra $4.99 so that I can watch the Lightning or the Rays when they play in Miami. You know, like, that's insane.
Right, the $4.99, not the $20 a month.
No, the $4.99.
Because right now that's what it would cost you.
Yes.
Yeah, and I remember when I was up in New York, I was looking at different options to get Rangers games on the TV, and it was cable versus just going straight to the SNY app for the Mets, the MSG app for the Rangers, and then we'll get maybe YouTube TV. Oh, man, the MSG app was, I think it was $25 a month a la carte, or it might have been $25 a month for the annual plan, but it was $40 a month a la carte. It was something absurd, and people paid it apparently up there.
Well, remember, there was a Florida State game a year ago on the Bally's, the Bally Network or what. It was a nothing game. You could do the thing where you sign up and then you could cancel right after, so that way you could watch the game.
Correct.
Well, that's when I discovered that Bally's was absurd.
Yeah, it's $15 a month.
$15.99.
Yeah.
Get the hell up out of here with that nonsense. $15 a month.
But YouTube TV doesn't have it, so it's like if you do want to watch the Rays, the Lightning, the Marlins, the Heat, or the Magic, I suppose.
Magic won 3 straight without Paolo.
I'll always lean on you for that.
I'm just like,
that you had to do it, or you password share, and that's how you figure it out.
But man, that's just not cool. I mean, you ought to be. I miss the old Sun Sports. I mean, I definitely miss that. I used to watch every Magic game on Sun Sports. The Nick Anderson teams, Anthony Hardaway and Shaq and all those. Yeah, man, those were the Horace Grant. I love those teams. I used to watch those religiously. Dennis Scott.
You know who got rich over those decades was Paul Porter. Remember who Paul Porter is? Or maybe is that just like a Tampa, Orlando thing?
No, I do remember who Paul Porter is.
You'll know who it is. It's the PA guy.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know if he still goes to Magic games or not, but he's been doing both. He had been doing both of those teams forever, for 20 years.
You ought not get rich by being a PA announcer. It doesn't take much. I was a PA announcer. But it doesn't take much.
If you're working 80 games a year plus playoffs.
I mean, it's a salary, whatever, but I mean, come on.
It's a nice chunk of change.
Say, fans, welcome in. Don't forget concessions on either side. It's like, that's not hard.
Well, he says, Nikita Kucherov.
I did it. I did PA this year for a couple of games for football, for high school football, and I had so much fun with it. I just went all in on the cheese. It was so fun.
Did you really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was cool. It was like
Scott Hansen.
I would just, I was pretty subdued while the action was happening. Carry of 7 yards there by number 52, Jason, whatever. I would do that. But when you had to make the announcements about where the bathrooms were or the kind of deals you could get at the concession stand, it's 2-for-1 M&Ms on the east side of the stadium. Yeah, like that was.
I hope that if you get asked to do that next year, that you do some of the stuff that the Notre Dame PA announcer does. I don't know if it's the same guy. I don't know if they did it this weekend. Did you stick around till 000s and then the post announcements and then the goodbye?
No, I didn't stick around for him to say goodbye.
There's always a warning about drinking and driving, and it was always some kind of play on words, very like church sign adjacent. Just something funny.
Yeah.
Remember, when you drive blitzed, you're gonna get sacked.
Oh,
so get a designated driver.
Oh man.
So you could institute that for the high school games, because I'm sure there's a lot of drinking going on in the stands.
I didn't see any drinking at the high school games, but yeah, it was. Well, they're so worried at high school games now. No matter who's playing, they've got the fans from the away team over here, and you cannot leave that area. You stay on your side.
Really?
And the home team, you're here, and you stay here. You've got your own bathrooms over there. You don't need to come over to our side.
Is that so?
Yes, yes.
I know that at some of the places they got the metal detectors and so forth. We didn't exist in that era of school shooting.
Thankfully, it didn't exist. That's correct.
Well, we were post-Columbine, but it didn't quite get to that level.
Yeah. No, in the 80s, you went to games and you frolicked about and didn't worry about anybody getting shot. It was a wonderful thing. And you could go everywhere. You could go to the other team's sideline. You could go over to your own, and nobody worried about anything. Yeah, whatever it was. Good times. Concession stands were jointly celebrated. I'll go get a Slurpee from their concession stand because I can, and it was great.
You could get a large soda pop and a popcorn for $1.50.
You love doing that now.
Well, no, legit at ours, I think it was $1 a hot dog, $1 soda for students.
Bay Point Middle, the Little League ballpark and middle school that I went to, I can.
You went to Bay Point? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went to Bay Point. I can still remember going to the concession stand in between games when I was on the Shook Astros, and we went in.
The Shook
Astros. Yeah, that was the last name of the sponsor.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, the Shook Astros, and I was on the Pirates. I was on the Astros. I was on the Mets. I was, but I was on the Shook Astros one year, and I remember getting 10-cent bubble gum, and that was a big to do.
I was gonna say, in those days, there was nothing better than a snow cone.
Snow cones graduate eventually to a Slurpee.
Yep. Yes, but as
neither of which you would eat now.
No, but crunching on the ice and getting that one bite that has all the flavor, because the rest of it doesn't. But you were in it for that one bite.
Well, it's the first bite. It's
yes,
the first one where they drenched, where they double drenched. Yeah, that's true. You still love a good slushie, a good frosty. Man. Yeah, any of that stuff was great.
There was a place called Dairy Curl on Gulf to Bay. I don't know if you ever went. It was there for 50 years, and they had the best slushies in the business. They were just called slushes.
Let me tell you what was overrated was the Twisty Treat. And all of their little twisty treat little huts and stuff. That's
nonsense. What Dairy Curl was, but far better. Because,
nonsense. Yeah,
they were their own brand.
No. I miss certain elements of all of that. With at the ballpark, getting certain kinds of candies. It's crazy when you get older. You have them again, and you're like, "What in the world?" Like snow caps are ass. Oh. I used to love a box of snow caps. You get a snow cap now. There's nothing to this. Why do I eat these snow caps? They're garbage.
Remember the candies they had on the paper, the wax paper?
Yes. Oh yeah.
The dots.
Yes, and you can. Yeah.
You'd eat the paper, and we just ate the paper. Didn't matter.
Oh, absolutely. Now, sweet tarts are still good.
Yep, and Smarties.
Same thing. They're delicious.
The sweet tarts are the bulkier.
Yeah, the bulkier of the two.
They look like coins.
Jolly Ranchers are still good. I don't eat them, but if there's a Jolly Rancher around and somebody offered me or a Yum Yum, those are good. Very good. Good work out of you.
What about the gummies? No.
Oh, well, I gave love to the gummies in the first hour.
Oh, those ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of special kind of gummies you get now. Not for kids. Good work. Be well. Talk to you soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Peace.